All right, what's up, and welcome to Thursday Night Football, everybody. It is Rick Hamley here on Bettor Sports Live on the Bettor Sports Network. Let's have some fun. We've got three awesome guests coming your way tonight. 7:30, we got Joe Osborne from Vegas Insider. 8 o'clock, we got Byron Lambert from Roster Watch, and at 8:30, we got Johnny BTV with NBC Sports Bets, John Benizia. Great guests coming up. Shout out to my guys behind the glass. We got Bennett Carroll, we got Anthony Rivera. And I got fantasy basketball drafts going on as we speak. I got to check because I ended up missing a pick late in a 30-team dynasty league for basketball. I ended up missing a pick. I don't miss picks, right? So I'm like, that was pretty lame. But traveling, I was at the Orlando practice facility yesterday, hustling home, getting on the air with Lisa Ann. And through the process, I thought I had notifications set up and everything like that, but I did not. 3 picks, and then I'm back on the clock. In another 30-team league, this one is not a dynasty league, it's a redraft league. And I was just speaking with Bennett and Anthony behind the glass, and I hear snickering in my ear right now. You're laughing at me. You've got your microphone turned on. You think I can't hear you, but I can hear you. You're laughing at me. Yes, I'm crazy. I'm nuts. I'm in not one, but 2 30-team basketball leagues. One of them, as I said, is a dynasty league that's almost done. I mean, literally, folks, I was like, I wanted Derrick Rose. Nobody wants Derrick Rose in a fantasy basketball league. I ended up with Teo Maledon, the pick that I didn't want, that I didn't draft, who recently got cut by the Houston Rockets. So I'll have a move to make there. It just went final. I want to let you know here in the Major League Baseball playoffs, the Astros just beat the Mariners 4-2. And really the turning point in this game for me. And the Astros now they're my pick to win the World Series. And they now lead this series 2-0. Heading back to Seattle, we got a long way to go here. I mean, I think the Astros are going to win, but the games in Seattle, I believe, could be real spicy and real interesting because they're a very good team and they're way better at home. But today, so it's 2-1 Seattle in the bottom of the 6th inning. Okay, and Seattle obviously had a lead in the first game and they blew it. And Alvarez with the big home run at 5 RBI. Well, Alvarez did it again, folks. He did it again. So Jeremy Pena, again, down 2-1, bottom of 6, hits a bloop single. It was over Frazier, inside of Julio Rodriguez, perfectly placed right in between second base and center field. Frankly, Julio Rodriguez has to take more ownership of that ball, call everybody off, hustle up, make a sliding catch. It was there for Julio Rodriguez. He would have had to just make like the really easy, like where you go into the slide and you make the catch. Piece of cake. Like barely even a web gem. Because Frazier was running his ass off to get out there and it was still several feet away from his glove. And the thing is, Luis Castillo, the pitcher who was pitching very well to that point, was pissed. You could see it on his face. And a lot of times, all it takes is one little blink and a stare down. Just one mistake. One. He actually didn't even really make a mistake. I'm pretty sure it was the next pitch from Castillo to a left-handed hitting Alvarez. Was on the outside part of the plate, right? Kind of a waste pitch, not wanting to give him a meatball to hit on the first pitch, right? So he threw it off the plate, outside, and it's a take pitch. 9 times out of 10, it's a take pitch. They watch it. The count is 1-0. He pitches the second pitch. Yordan Alvarez went out and got it and sent it over the left field wall for a 3-2 lead. So you got the guy that Castillo didn't think should be on base. He came home, and then Alvarez came home, went to 3-2. Houston tacked on another run. Their bullpen was lights out. One of the reasons I've got them winning it all is their bullpen. Their bullpen is really, really good and experienced and deep, and they've got optionality, and they can bring starters out if they want. They can bring badass relievers out if they want. Dusty Baker has more buttons to push at pitcher, starting, reliever, middle relief than any team in Major League Baseball left in these playoffs. And you could probably just make that a blanket statement over the entire league throughout the season. So that was a big turnaround to me. And, Luis Castillo pitched very, very well, but that's all it takes is one little blink and a stare down. Ask Kirk Cousins. Ask Tony Romo. Ask James Harden. These guys that blink in the stare down, right? They just, that one little, and it went away from you, and then that mistake cost you the game. That's what I saw today. And Castillo's a stud. I'm not mad at him, but that was my read on the game today. And the other game, has been rained out here with the Yankees and the Guardians. They're going to play that game tomorrow at 1:00 Eastern time. A little bit of a bummer right there. I was hoping to watch some baseball, watch some football, and kind of watch both, but that ain't going to happen tonight. Better Boss is in here. He says, let's get it on Justin Fields breakout tonight. And it takes me very, very well here into our breakdown against the spread on tonight's game. And Ricky Props will be in here in just a little bit. Better Boss, I can't, AKA Matt Deutsch, AKA my dear friend. Maybe. It's the best I got for you. Maybe. And in my evaluations on this game, I went in thinking, is this going to be a breakout for Justin Fields? How bad is Washington's defense? What are we talking about here? And we might get the breakout. The stats are in favor of Justin Fields having a breakout tonight. Washington is 21st in pass yards allowed. They are tied for third most touchdown passes allowed with 11. They're fourth in wide receiver receiving yards allowed. They're tied for third in most wide receiver touchdowns allowed. I do have a Mooney vibe tonight. I'm on the over on his prop bet. But for Justin Fields, I believe I saw 169.5 in the passing yards. Here's the problem with me and Justin Fields. Justin Fields burned me early in the season. It was the Houston Texans game. I believe they were last in passing yards at the time of that game. I thought that was the Justin Fields breakout game. You're at home, warm weather, no wind, no BS, no nothing. You got the Texans up in your home. And he had a horrible game. So I'm burned and now I'm scorned with Justin Fields. He's been over this number of 169.5 the last two games. I don't trust it though. The Bears have been in come from behind mode in both of those games. Tonight I think it's going to be a nip and tuck game. But the last two games have been play from behind games, which leads to more passing, which leads to more completions, which leads to more passing yards. I don't know if that's the game script we're getting tonight, because in the games where the Bears have been in the game, nip and tuck game, Justin Fields has not hit 20 pass attempts in any of those first three games. In the last two, playing catch up, he's hit 20 plus throws. I don't think they want Justin Fields to have a breakout game. I think they want to play defense, run the ball, and control the clock and win ugly, because that's all they're good enough to do, if they're even lucky and good enough to do that. So I'm a Justin Fields guy. I hate the roster construction around him on offense. He is not set up for success. People are going to be calling for his head, later on this year when the Bears fall out of the playoff race, and they're all going to be wrong. But do I see a Justin Fields breakout tonight? I don't. I'm not even predicting the over on his very, very low passing yardage total. I don't trust it. I got burned. I'm Ricky Props, man. I'm trying to give you props and increase my stats. I took a hit over the last weekend. We got roughed up. We did. Happens. I ain't tripping. It happens. Justin Verlander got beat up in game one. Does that mean he's not going to win Cy Young? Does that mean he's going to change his methodology? Hell no. So I got Chicago winning tonight. I think Justin Fields is going to play decent football tonight, maybe even above average football. Breakout game where we're talking about 250 yards, 2 or 3 touchdowns, 50 on the ground, like a Jalen Hurts game. Sorry, I don't see it. I'm here for it. I would love to see it, but I'm not predicting that. All right. I'm checking this draft right now. I don't want to miss a pick. It's funny, like in this 30-team league where it's not a dynasty league. So earlier today, I'm working on NBA radio over on Sirius XM, and actually I missed my pick. I was live on the air. Fortunately, CBS Sports, which is running, this league, they just took the top guy on my queue, and thankfully I sorted my queue a little bit. I wanted Max Strus. And he was taking the pick before me. It's like you wait 30 picks for a guy and he's taking the pick before you. It's like, are you freaking kidding me? It's okay, though, because I got Victor Oladipo, who I'm moderately high on this year. I think he's going to be pretty good for Miami. Play 25, 26 minutes. He's going to get some steal goodies, some assist goodies. And I'm like I said, I'm moderately geeked about Victor Oladipo. And he's got to play to make more money and all this kind of stuff. And it's funny. I interviewed Max Strus today on NBA radio. How about that? So drafted him or didn't draft him. He got sniped away from me right at the last second. So in back-to-back days, I have interviewed guys that I've been involved in decisions here. I interviewed Paolo Banchero on Wednesday in Orlando. Tuesday night, I drafted him in this league. So it's just cool to see the whole thing come together, man. Dave Poland is in the house. He says Strus is loose. Good guy and a really good shooter. And if you need, deep in your draft, you need a guy that's going to average 3 threes a game and around 10, 11, 12 points, late in drafts. I mean, obviously it's not a high pick, but late in drafts, that can be very valuable for you, especially in deep leagues. Now, to the Commanders and the Bears. The spread was even when I started looking at this yesterday. And now it's -1 for Washington. So some Commander money has come in, and Vegas has adjusted the odds. And now the side that I always was on is getting a point. I'm on Chicago tonight, folks. And the total is 38. I'm on the over on this number as well. 23-20 is my final score. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be close. We're going to get a horrible mishmash live call by Al Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit. And, we're not going to have as much fun as we usually have with NFL football. We're not, okay? But I just want to prepare yourself. I'm preparing myself for some bad football tonight because I think it's coming. And I think we're going to see some good defensive football tonight. But I'm on the Bears. I got them winning 23-20, probably on a Cairo Santos kick at the end of the game or something like that. I think we've really got a coin flippy type of game. That's why we were even. That's why we're now -1 Washington. Washington's defense is 27th in the NFL in points allowed at 25.6. That is a great stat for the Chicago Bears because when you're an up-and-coming offense like the Bears, it's all about matchups. Like, do you have a soft, cushy matchup that you can get it done with? Whereas, you've got the Bears with this young fledgling offense against a really good defense. I mean, it's an obvious flush, right? Against Dallas or against Philly or, one of these really, really good defenses. Come on. So they got a cupcake at Soldier Field tonight. They do. So Justin Fields is going to move the ball with this Bears offense. I got Carson Wentz directing at least a couple of touchdown drives. I mean, he's good enough for that. He is. And so 23-20, there's going to be a lot of field goals tonight. And so I want to get into, more of my rationale here, describing the body of work so far for these teams. I want to apply a little bit of college football thinking to tonight's game. What I mean by that is in college football, it's all about resume. It's all about body work. But in it, to a large degree, it is in the NFL as well. Washington's body of work so far. They beat the Jacksonville Jaguars in week 1, 28-22. They should have lost that football game. The reason they did not lose that football game is because Trevor Lawrence missed Zay Jones wide open in the end zone. He missed Travis Etienne wide open in the end zone. And Travis Etienne dropped what would have been a touchdown pass from Trevor Lawrence. Basically, Jacksonville just took a gun and went gush, 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 and shot themselves in the foot like 17 times. That's the Commanders' only win. That's their only win. I can't even give them credit. Oh, yeah, they won that one. They were the best team on the football field that day. I mean, they kind of were, right? They won. It was the Jaguars, but literally it was circumstantial. Like they won because the Jaguars screwed up. Week 2, you go to Detroit. You fall in a big hole. You end up losing 36-27. You come back in the game, but the whole comeback was cosmetic. Detroit got up like 17, 20 points, like a 3-ish score bulge, and never gave up the lead. Okay, that's game 2. Game 3 at home against Philly, you lost 24-8. You got rolled. Okay, game 4, you're at Dallas and you get rolled 25-10. This is the Washington Commanders' body of work. What's inspiring about this? You beat Jacksonville barely. You lost to Detroit by a significant amount. You got your butt kicked by 2 legitimate elite teams, combined score 49-18. And then last week, you should have beaten Tennessee, but you didn't because your damn coach got in the way, and Carson Wentz threw an interception at the end of the game. Tennessee's not very good this year, folks, and that was a home game, and the Commanders put 17 points on the board against a pass defense that I am absolutely making money on. The Tennessee pass defense, play your guys against that defense. That pass defense is god-awful, okay? 4 losses in a row, 1-4 on the year. Jacksonville is the only win that they have. That's the Commanders' body of work. Whoosh, flush it. That is the body of work of a tanking team, of a team that's going to go 3-14. Okay, that's where we're headed. The Chicago Bears, meanwhile, it's not a ton better, but it's better body of work. San Francisco in week 1. San Fran's a good team, right? Especially now that they have Jimmy Garoppolo under center. They are. Well, San Fran took an L at Chicago, 19-10. It was soggy, very, very wet. Offenses weren't geared up yet, but that was a really, really masterful defensive performance by the Bears defense, which is good. Not great, but good. Week 2, Chicago goes to Green Bay, predictably, with Green Bay coming off that big week 1 loss. They get rolled 27-10. Shrug it off. It's what was going to happen. We all knew that. Week 3 was a disappointment. You beat the Texans, but you did not cover, and I thought it would be a more comfortable victory for Chicago. They won 23-20 in that game. You lost to the New York Giants 20-21, okay? You fought with them, you hung with them at New York, and you ultimately lost by 1 score against a team that we need to start looking at differently. New York is 4-1, one of the best teams in the NFL this year. And if you're Chicago, you lost to Minnesota. Minnesota has gotten off to a terrific start, and you were very much in this game. It came down to a late touchdown drive by Kirk Cousins, and then Chicago coming back to tie the game. And Smith-Marset, the Chicago receiver, had the ball ripped out of his hands by Cam Dantzler, cornerback for the Vikings. If that doesn't happen, maybe Chicago ties the game. This is a competitive body of work from Chicago. You beat San Fran, blown by Green Bay, beat Houston, lost by 1 score to New York, lost by 1 score to Minnesota. That's a competitive body of work, people. Okay? That matters going into tonight. It does for me. It lets me know what this team has done, their flow of their season. Can I trust you? I can't trust the Washington Commanders. Maybe if this was a home game, but not on the road. No way. So, I just human nature. I like the Bears being at home in a short week. Wentz, oh, by the way, is cratering, okay? A very mixed bag. Made some amazing throws last week in the game against Tennessee. The OTS joint to Diami Brown. Another OTS joint to Diami Brown, both for touchdowns. And threw an interception to end the game and give the victory to the other team. Welcome to the Carson Wentz experience. I have a crazy stat to give you all here. A crazy stat. Check this out. I got to go to Twitter here real quick. Are you all familiar with the website and the Twitter follow StatMuse? If you're not, you need to stop what you're doing and immediately follow StatMuse, just like StatMuse. That's simple. It's one of my favorite follows on Twitter. Great, just unbelievable statistics, historical stuff. Like you wonder something, you can even like tag them on a tweet and be like, "Yo, at StatMuse, what is the stat for this?" And I don't know, maybe it's because I got the blue dot, but they a lot of times will do the digging on stuff like that. They put out a stat on Carson Wentz tonight. Carson Wentz on Thursday Night Football in his career is 6-0. He averages 240 passing yards a game, 2.5 touchdowns, and 0.3 interceptions. Those are Hall of Fame stats. Undefeated, 240 and 2.5, and a very low interception number. Outstanding. Why doesn't that number matter and those stats matter right now here tonight? First of all, they might, if I'm wrong. I don't believe I'm wrong, though. And here's why. This is a body of work for his career stat for Carson Wentz, which is cool. But there's been so much change and undulation in Carson Wentz situation and career. And you think about where he's at right now. All those years in Philadelphia. Then you had the year in Indianapolis when he had a 27-5 TD to INT ratio, I believe, and was pretty good, right? Not good enough, but pretty good. This year in Washington, this is the worst situation he has been in. You've got a team that's heading in the wrong direction. You're getting into it, not that he started it, but like there's a whole thing with you and your coach now. And you're without Jahan Dotson. You're without Logan Thomas. You do have McLaurin. By the way, Diami Brown is questionable for this game, and it looks like legitimately questionable. So he doesn't have a lot of weapons to throw to. You're not playing behind a good offensive line, okay? You don't have a good defense to sort of balance out the game and keep the opponent, off the football field. So there's just a lot going the wrong way. Wentz has never been on a team that was heading for the first pick in the NFL draft. Okay. So to me, what matters more is what's happening in this moment with Carson Wentz. It's great stat work by StatMuse. It's a very impressive stat. I've got a million stats that lead me to Chicago winning tonight. And I've got a few sprinkled in nickel and dime stats like this that tell me to go with Washington. You know how I do this. I accumulate trends and forces on one side while taking into consideration the stuff on the other side. And then how it balances out, it tips the scales in one favor or the other. And I'll get back to explaining here. But to me, the scales are tipped pretty heavily in favor of Chicago tonight, albeit in a coin flip type of game. A lot of these numbers scream Chicago to me. This is what we need to look at for Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz in good matchups this year and in bad matchups this year, because he really hasn't had anything in between, which would throw off the stat. It's either been a cupcake matchup or a tough matchup for Carson Wentz. So in the tough matchups against Jacksonville, don't sleep. They allow the 24th fewest quarterback points in Yahoo leagues. Jacksonville's defense has been borderline top 10 this year. Wentz went off against them, 313, 4 touchdowns, 2 picks, okay? He did play well against them. The Philly game, the Eagles, 26th in quarterback points allowed, right? Very stingy to quarterbacks. Wentz went 211, no touchdown, no pick. Against Dallas, we know how stingy they are against everything. 28th in quarterback points allowed in Yahoo leagues. Wentz had 170, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. Average it for you. Those 3 games against really good defenses. He's averaging 231 yards with a ratio of 5-4, okay? In good matchups, Carson Wentz at Detroit, hello. Last week against Tennessee, hello. Against Detroit, 337, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. Last week against Tennessee, 359, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick, okay? Average, 348 in a 5-2 ratio. So in the 3 tough matchups, Wentz is at 231. 3 tough matchups, Wentz is at 231. 2 good matchups, he's at 348. Let's do some math, folks. That's 117 yard per game difference in good matchups and bad matchups. And what we have here, folks, is a bad matchup for Carson Wentz. Let me explain. The Chicago Bears, 3rd in passing yards allowed to quarterbacks, all right, 204 per game. Tied for 4th in touchdown passes allowed. They've given up 4 all year. Chicago's defense, they're middle of the pack in quarterback fantasy points allowed. But Chicago is 9th in wide receiver receiving yards allowed. They're tied for 4th in wide receiver touchdowns allowed, only 2. They allow 21.2 points per game, which is a very good total. And Chicago's 9th in passing yards allowed overall at 197. It's a good defense, especially against the pass. They suck against the run, like really super suck against the run, Chicago's defense. Giddy up, Brian Robinson. Yes, I'm over his prop. But their pass defense is very, very good. And Carson Wentz throws football, and he's going to have to throw the foot. I don't see them running for 150 yards. Brian Robinson for 105, and Antonio Gibson hits him with another 50, and they run home with a victory tonight at Chicago. I just don't see that. The Bears are a bad matchup for Carson Wentz. Now, Fields is a work in progress. And what I want to say about Justin Fields heading into tonight's game, it's about usage and about deployment of Darnell Mooney. They have to throw shot plays to Darnell Mooney. They have to. It's mandatory. It's what he's good at. He's extremely fast. He's good at making tough contested downfield catches. He did it with Mitch Trubisky, before Justin got there. And Justin Fields throws a beautiful deep ball. Can throw it a mile. So that's what I want to see shot plays tonight. Not every series, not every possession, but let's say 1 a quarter. How about that? Can we get 1 a quarter? Because they're only targeting Mooney about 5 times a game. But I want to put that out there. That's what I want to see tonight. I actually do believe that they're going to hit a chunk play to Darnell Mooney tonight. I do. I like the over on his prop. It's 45.5, extremely manageable number. Do I see a breakout from Terry McLaurin tonight for Washington? I do not. I just gave you stats on how stingy they are to wide receivers. And McLaurin's been very, very small. Probably another 5 for 50, 6 for 60, something like that. Keep him in your lineup. He'll get you to double digits. He might score a touchdown, but I don't see a breakout game for him. I don't see 110, 8 for 110 and a touch or two. I don't. More reasons why I like the Bears tonight. Let's get into the Bears home and road splits defensively and overall. The Bears, folks, are 2-0 at home, and they're 0-3 on the road. Giddy up. It's a pretty good stat, huh? Through 5 games, we're very simple here. We're undefeated at home, and we can't get it done on the road. Okay, that's important. The Bears at home are allowing 15 points per game. The Bears on the road are allowing 25 points per game. Okay, these are indicators to bang Chicago tonight, plus the 1 as a home dog on prime time, and I like that angle too. But they're allowing 15 PPG at home, 25 PPG on the road, undefeated at home, and winless on the road. That stuff matters big time. The Bears running game, it's not a great matchup against Washington. They're pretty good against the run. They've given up 447 yards in 5 games. You do the math on that, and we're talking about well less than 100 per game. If you're a defense giving up less than 100 rushing yards per game, you're most likely in the top 10 in that regard. You also have, folks, coaches heading in different directions in this matchup tonight on Thursday Night Football. It is Rick Kamla on Bettor Sports Live with you here on the Bettor Sports Network. Great that you all are making me a part of your Thursday night. We've got our first guest coming up right around the corner here in a few minutes. And it'll be Joe Osborne with Vegas Insider. In the meantime, we'll be chilling here and we'll be talking about the Commanders and the Chicago Bears. But we've got coaches heading in opposite directions here. Not that Eberflus is ready to win Coach of the Year. I am not saying that. He's got 2 wins, okay, which is more than Ron Rivera has. And Eberflus is going for it. He may be, riverboat gambling with some of this stuff and going for 2 a lot and going for 4th down a lot. Boy, that game against Minnesota last week, he blew in the dice so much that it became clammy and the dice wouldn't even fall out of his hand. That's how much he was blowing in the dice. And so I still need to see a lot more from Eberflus, but his team is competitive. He does have a good defense, and he's undefeated at home. And so, it's not horrible, okay? Ron Rivera, earlier this week, responded to a question whether other teams are farther ahead in their rebuilds than the Commanders, and he mentioned his quarterback, by name or by position. Rivera apologized to Wentz and his team for the comments. And Wentz said that, it didn't really bother him and all that kind of stuff. But that's an issue. Oh, yeah, that's an issue, folks. It is. So, and look, Ron Rivera's on the hot seat. It's being talked about. Everybody knows it. And did you happen to watch the end of the first half of the Tennessee game? I mean, we'll talk about it quickly again here. Tennessee's driving, about minute 20 to go in the second quarter. And Washington has all 3 of their timeouts. And when the other team has the ball at the end of the second quarter and the fourth quarter, what do you do to take back control of the game? You call timeouts when they have the football. You can do that, okay? And so he didn't. Let the clock run down, and he could have gone bang, bang, bang with timeouts, and probably then the touchdown that we saw from Derrick Henry. And so now you're at 35, 40, 45 seconds left. No timeouts, but you've got time. Throw a big ball down the middle, right? Get it to midfield. Sprint up, spike the ball, 2nd down, another pass. You're on the fringe of field goal range, another little run or something like that out of bounds. Now you're in field goal range. 3 points. They lost the game 21-17. And instead of having it be 21-20 at the end of the game, because maybe Ron managed the end of that first half better. Maybe they got a long field goal at the end of that first half, right? Now at the end of the game, we're at 21-20, not 21-17, where we need Carson Wentz, to throw and get to the end zone, and he throws the interception because they were knocking on the door. They were inside the 10-yard line. Okay, that's a chip shot field goal for the win. That's not Ron Rivera. To me, his seat is very, very hot right now. And I know the team's not set up to win, but his seat is very, very hot right now. You've got coaches going in opposite directions. And frankly, you've got teams heading in opposite directions. Chicago is not tanking, okay, or not about to tank, or not about to start thinking about C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young. Washington is. And I love Sam Howell. Sam Howell's my homie, okay? He's my guy. We were talking to somebody last night, me and Lisa Ann, and he described his lonely place with players. I'm in a lonely place with Sam Howell. I'm over here on Camel Island. The guy's an absolute rock star. and he will prove it eventually. You just don't know it yet. And then you've got Chicago. They got their guy, Justin Fields. They need to build around him better so that he can groom and develop and mushroom into a fantastic player. But these are two teams heading in different directions. So for all those reasons, folks, I like the Chicago Bears tonight, plus the 1 point. I will take it. Yes, I will take it. Let's check a couple of the comments right here. Better Boss is my favorite bet tonight. McLaurin and Mooney, 100 receiving yards each at a plus 2,800. Better Boss, you're a better gambler than me because I would not. I'm going to write it down, though. I particularly, Better Boss, you're my guy. I have a hard time seeing that one happening. I do. So McLaurin and Mooney, 100 plus each. The payoff is amazing at a plus 2,800. I will say that. These are the two number ones on these teams. Would it be the craziest thing to ever happen? No. My computations don't have either guy hitting 100 yards, but Better Boss, I wrote it down. We'll be talking about that tonight and cheering for you in that regard. Dave Poland says, too many chefs in the kitchen with the Commanders' backfield. No, sir. That is not correct. Actually, it is correct, but I have a correction on the correction. If that makes sense. Brian Robinson is about to take hold of this backfield in terms of running the football. In terms of catching the football, it is going to be Gibson. It is going to be, of course, J.D. McKissic. All three guys are going to be involved, to Dave Poland's point. But Brian Robinson is going to emerge tonight. He kind of sort of did last week, but it was low numbers and you really couldn't tell. Tonight, you're going to tell. Tonight, it's going to be a full dose of Brian Robinson against a really bad run defense, and we are going to see a breakout or quasi-breakout game from Brian Robinson tonight. And Poland is saying here, I mean for betting purposes. And let me look back at your hey, David, tell me, how does too many chefs in the Commanders' backfield hurt us for betting purposes? I don't understand that. Help me out with that. BK is in here. He says Fields, 200-plus passing yards. Monty, 770 rushing yards and a touchdown at a plus 1,000. Well, again, I hope you win. I hope you cash in. I'm under on David Montgomery's prop tonight at 62.5. So I do not have him getting to 70 rushing yards. I could see a touchdown. I could definitely see a touchdown for David Montgomery tonight, but not the yards. All right, let's catch a break right here. On the other side, we will bring on our first guest of the night. We will have Joe Osborne of Vegas Insider. So stay tuned. We're counting down to Thursday Night Football on Bettor Sports Network.
Bettor Sports Live with Lisa Ann and Rick Kamla. That's 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 Pacific.
We've talked about this. You're not into that, to the dynasty thing.
I don't, dynasty is like a long-term relationship, and that just is really tough for me, Rick,
I understand.
It is such, and then when you say the two things that you say that probably scare me the most is a 14-team dynasty. Then I'm like, oh, this is a now complex relationship that requires a lot of my attention. Not
and
just
a dog that you don't like and all of that stuff, right?
Lunch Money with Kyle and Ray. Weekdays at noon Eastern, presented by FantasyGuru.com.
I wish they'd get rid of instant replay. I think it's damaging to the sport. I just don't like it.
They will never get rid of instant replay on the broadcast. We demand it, and that's why. Remember, replay kind of rose out of the fact that people would sit at home and say, "Why can't they look at this? Why can't they see it? I get to see the replay, and I know it's wrong. Why don't they get it?" So that said, okay, we'll have replay. Ray, we're never going to get rid of replay. No. Like you couldn't say, "Hey, the NFL will get rid of it, but we're not going to show it on broadcast." What if the NFL said, we'll get rid of replay, but we will not show any instant replays at the stadium? Would you be okay with, you'd still get them at home, and you could still yell at the TV, but the ref can't hear you there.
Right.
I feel part of it is they have to have replay because the millions upon millions of people watching the game have replay. So, you can't not have replay when everybody else has it, but the guys making the decisions don't have it. You gotta have replay. It's impossible.
It is impossible. It's just my dream. It doesn't help.
You get better dreams, Ray. That's not really
it doesn't help. That's the thing. If we use replay and it creates as many questions as answers that it solves, what's the point of it?
Well, it's not going to change, Ray Flowers. You're going to be an old man still yelling at the replay cloud.
Bettor Sports Network is betting, fantasy, collectibles, It's sports talk done better.
All right, we are back on Better Sports Live. It is Rick Kamla, and we now welcome in Joe Osborne from Vegas Insider. Joe, Rick Kamla, nice to meet you, sir. Welcome to Better Sports Network, man.
Rick, what's up, my man? I'm happy to be on with you here. Week 6 getting underway here in about 40 minutes or so. So I'm pretty excited for it. Not necessarily for tonight's game, but for the week as a whole.
Well, I, all the people on this network, all the people you work with, we break down these games, whether they're good games, shitty games, in the middle games. We break them all down.
Exactly.
And so we're going to. I first of all, Joe, want to give your company here, Vegas Insider, a huge compliment. I am a big fan of the overall work of Vegas Insider. I like how with the future bets, you sort of create a consensus on all of the different books, and then you stack it up like that. The one thing that's just like mystifying to me, we'll get to Commanders and Bears here in just a second. Like every time I refresh on the odds to win the 2023 NBA championship, I see the Boston Celtics #1. And I'm like, how in the freaking hell can the Boston Celtics be #1 on the Vegas board to win the 2023 championship with the drama going on with their coach? They don't have Gallinari. They're not going to have Robert Williams for a while. I'm like, hello, the Bucks, the Dubs, the Clippers. You could go to the Suns. You could go to the Grizzlies. Like, I have Boston finishing 6th in the East in the regular season, and they're atop the Vegas board. Not that you are doing this, but does that trip you out too, that Boston's on top up there?
Well, I think they're a top contender. I don't think they deserve to be the favorite by any means. I don't think they deserve to be above the Bucks. It took them 7 games to beat the Bucks, and the Bucks didn't have their second best player, Chris Middleton, who always plays really well against them. The Bucks are actually my pick to win it all this year. I like them to beat the Warriors in the NBA Finals. But yeah, I mean, people are excited about the Malcolm Brogdon move. That guy's injured a lot. Seems like he misses 1 out of every 3 games, right? And hey, there's a lot of talent there, Rick. Tatum and Brown and Smart, absolutely. And maybe Tatum, he just kind of fell off a cliff in the NBA Finals. Maybe he'll learn from that experience. Still a very young guy. So there's some red flags with the Celtics. I think they'll be in the mix, but I think they're right there with the Miami Heat. Who knows what we're gonna get from the Nets? You know what I mean? But I like the Bucks out of the East, and I think the 76ers will be a good regular season team. I don't trust Doc Rivers or James Harden in a tight spot at all.
Joe, we're already buddies here. I'm a Doc Rivers guy, so that you and I, we can agree to disagree on that.
Sure.
But in terms of James Harden, he's a regular season. Well, he used to be a regular season Batman. Now he's a quasi-regular season Robin, but he has never been a postseason Batman. That is for sure. Not even in the Rockets days. So cool to hear your opinion on that. Random ask question here to start the interview. But y'all do great work. But every time I refresh it, I see Boston on top, and I'm like, what is going on here? Let's talk about tonight's game.
Sure.
And talk to me, Joe, about the line movement here throughout the week. In terms of, I think some people would like what you're drinking right there, Joe.
Well, that's just a little vitamin C drink. I'm fighting off a cold here going into the weekend. I've been working my ass off all week, and so I do this cold prevention. Right, you just hammer the vitamin C.
Okay,
and, that works for me. Different things for different people. Now, I wish there was a little bit of vodka in that. That might be a little counterproductive, though, right?
it might be, but it would certainly make you more euphoric and feeling better overall. All right, so take me through the line movement here throughout the week. Obviously, yesterday I checked it; it was flat, and tonight it's last I saw Washington was laying a point here. I'm on the Chicago side, so take me through the line movement and then which side of the line you're on tonight.
Yeah, it was jumping around quite a bit. The Bears were favored. Now they're not. Now it's up to +1.5. And I don't feel strong about a side here, Rick. Not at all. Like, flip a coin. Each of these teams, these are 2 of the worst teams in the NFL. Chicago at the home field advantage, maybe, sure. I like the under. It's up to 38.5 now. And each of these teams has just like an incredibly low floor for scoring. You take a look at the Commanders, they've scored 17 or fewer in 3 straight games. Chicago, 3 of their 5 games have stayed under 38 points. Both stink on third down, both stink on the red zone, both in the bottom third in yards per play. So they're having a really hard time moving the football, both allowing a ton of pressure. So both of those quarterbacks who aren't very good, they're going to be feeling the heat in this one. And check out this trend. The under has been a really hot bet on Thursday Night Football since the start of last season. 16-5 to the under on Thursday night since the start of last season. So these offenses, short rest, just 4 days, league-wide having a hard time turning around a little bit here. So, yeah, I like the under. I don't think we're going to quite see a repeat of what we saw last Thursday with the Colts and Broncos. That's one of the worst athletic competitions, regardless of sport, that you're ever going to watch. So I don't think it's going to be quite that bad, but I wouldn't be shocked to see a 17-14 type of game.
We will have touchdowns, though, Joe, right? We will have touchdowns tonight.
I can't guarantee that with these two teams.
You won't go that far.
Maybe a pick six, maybe something on special teams. But it's funny. I don't have the record right in front of me, but I've seen a couple people kicking around today. Carson Wentz has actually been like phenomenal on Thursday Night Football. So you could be in for a surprise there. Ron Rivera throwing him under the bus so earlier in the week. I don't quite understand the strategy with that. You know, Carson Wentz is enough of a punching bag as it is. You want his head coach now has to go into the media and slam the guy. So yeah, tricky to pick a side. I like the under though.
Ron Rivera's losing his way. If he hasn't already just lost it, he has. Like it's coach speak. You remember when Doc Rivers was asked at the end of the Philadelphia Sixers series a couple years ago, and a reporter asked him, Doc, can you win a championship with Ben Simmons at point guard? And Doc Rivers said, I don't know, which means no. Okay. And he was too honest in that moment. Mm-hmm. Ron was too honest in that moment about Carson. Yeah, we're behind other teams who are rebuilding because of our quarterback. Yo, dummy, you don't say the position because you're calling out a specific dude. It's not like your offensive line, but then your offensive lineman wouldn't be happy if you called them out too. Definitely a misstep by Ron. I don't think he's going to be coaching there very much longer. And Joe, you mentioned the stat, right? Here's the stat. And it comes from Stat Muse, one of my favorite follows on Twitter. Yeah. You're a big Stat Muse guy, right? We have to be.
Yeah, I love them. That's an excellent follow on Twitter.
So here are the stats. Carson Wentz on Thursday nights, 6 times 6-0, 240 yards a game, 2.5 touchdowns per game, 0.3 picks per game. So he's been feckless, productive, and perfect in the win-loss record.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of these guys, you know, the Kirk Cousins falls into this category. Tua in his first 2 seasons. These guys are just, people can't wait to take shots at them. But hey, if Carson Wentz, if he's putting up that type of a record on Thursday night, you got to give him a pat on the back and give him credit for it, right?
How strong of a betting angle is that? I told the people earlier, my diagnosis of Carson Wentz this year comes down to good matchups and bad matchups. In the matchups against Jacksonville and Dallas and Philadelphia, all really good or above average defenses, Wentz has sucked, basically. And against the 2 good matchups, Tennessee and Detroit, Carson Wentz has had massive games. Chicago presents a lot of difficulty for Carson Wentz tonight based on what they allow to quarterbacks, what they allow to wide receivers throughout this year. So I see this as a bad matchup for Carson Wentz, not a good matchup. That's why, and also, Joe, I'm curious to bounce this off of you. That's a strong stat, right? There's a bagel on one side of the stat, which makes it matter a lot. But this is the whole body of work. This is Indianapolis Wentz. This is Philly Wentz, and you know. I don't believe Washington's been on TNF yet this year, so it'd be his first Thursday nighter here with Washington. And don't you think that this is the worst spot that Wentz has ever been in currently with these Commanders?
The 6-0 stat, it's interesting, but I don't think it carries much weight. And it's not something I would apply too much to a handicap, considering he was on 2 different teams over the span of that 6-0. And it's not like people want to always apply the record to the quarterback. Carson Wentz is 6-0 on Thursday night. Well, he was on teams that went 6-0 on Thursday Night Football, right? So it's not like Carson Wentz like really gets up for these Thursday night football games, like they're really special to him or something. I don't know about that, and he very well might have an okay game here tonight, but they don't carry much weight to me when he was on a very good Eagles team, and the Colts were pretty good last year too. So we'll see if it carries forward tonight.
All right, we've got Joe Osborne hanging out with us. He's with Vegas Insider. I'm enjoying the heck out of this. Let's do some prop bets here, Joe. Let's start with, I got a pretty good vibe on this one. Brian Robinson at 51.5 rushing yards. I like this one quite a bit. The Bears are atrocious at stopping the run. So I'll let you go from there because I'm going to give sort of my rationales here when I get off the air with you, Joe. But I want to lead you off with that. I got Brian Robinson over 51.5. Where are you at with that?
I like that one. One that really stands out to me is so you're gonna think it's a low number on Bears tight end Cole Kmet. It's only 26.5 for his receiving yards. But one of the things Washington's actually been good at is defending the opposing tight end. They've really been limiting them this season. So I don't mind that at all. Another one that I kind of like, which is an ugly one, and there are going to be a lot of ugly picks you're making if you're prop betting on this game. I like the Justin Fields over 168.5 passing yards. That's a very low number. And he's going up against, we saw him go up against a bad pass defense in the Vikings last week, and he had some pretty good success. He's going up against a bad passing defense again here in this game. Like I said, that's a low number, and they're letting him throw a little bit more. So those would be the two that would really stand out to me.
Earlier this year, I got burned on a Fields prop. Remember the Houston Texans matchup in week 3, or was that week 2? Anyway, a cherry matchup for Fields, and I went over on his passing. It was like 170 yards or something like that, and dang it, I just had some deja vu listening to you. I think I was saying a lot of the same things. It's a very low number. I feel like he's going to throw the ball more this week. And then we saw the Houston game happen, and he was dreadful. I think he had 100 yards passing or something like that. I don't have the game log in front of me, but it wasn't even close. So he's pump faked me. He's got me up into the air off my feet. I came down and fouled him. My coach is pissed at me, and so I don't really want to go back. But Matt Deutsch, who I know he's on Justin Fields tonight. I want to be on Justin Fields tonight, but I got burnt, so it's hanging me up.
Yeah, I try not to let that happen. Like, I've gotten burned on, like, a lot of people are telling me, like, you put out, like, hey, who do you like on a teaser this week? In Green Bay, you can get them from -7 down to minus a single point at home versus the Jets. But a lot of people are coming out, they burned me the past couple weeks. I think that's a good time to bet on a team when the public perception is starting to change a little bit and some people feel burned and you're not liking them from a betting perspective. And they're going up against a team in the Jets that's getting a little bit of buzz here, coming off a couple of cheap wins over Pittsburgh and Miami, both starting rookie quarterbacks in those games. They're not starting for Miami, but Skylar Thompson needs to come in one play into the game. So, yeah, I don't know, for player props maybe, but from a team spread betting perspective, don't look at it as if this team burned me. They didn't burn you. And you often see good teams bounce back. I like betting on good teams after like a bad, embarrassing loss. So like the Green Bay situation, that might be a good one this weekend.
It's good stuff, man. Joe, I really appreciate your time. Get better, okay? I just had a cold, virusy kind of thing I don't know, a month ago. It's a pain in the ass, man. So appreciate you. Is your tone a little more nasally than usual? You sounded great, but I mean, are you feeling like crap here or what?
Oh, no, I'm fighting through it, man. And I pound the vitamin C so that I can pound the beers on the weekend here, man. You know, you got to get ready for the game day food and the ice cold beer and stuff like that. So just prepping. I'm getting a little bit older here. So, you know, I don't bounce back like I used to. So pounding the vitamins, I'm going to be good to go here this weekend.
I understand, my friend. Rally. I look forward to our next visit here, and keep up the great work at Vegas Insider.
Absolutely, my man. Good luck to you, and good luck to all the listeners out there.
Appreciate you. That is Joe Osborne right there, Vegas Insider, with his debut voyage here on Bettor Sports Live with Rick Kamla. So let's get cracking on some prop bets here. We've got Byron Lambert coming up at the top of the hour from Roster Watch. So let's get to some prop bets, and let's get Ricky Props up in here. Ricky Props, what's up? I am doing absolutely fantastic. Thank you for asking. Just normal old Rick Kamla. So Ricky Props is in here, and let's start. First of all, unpacking my numbers here. I had a tough week, like I talked about. 6-9 on Sunday. I lost 3 bets. I had the over on Rodgers, Lazard, and Dobbs. Lost them all. That's why I was under 500 on Sunday. Monday, I went 2-4, and Chiefs and Raiders, and the why I went over on Waller. He got hurt. Kansas City had the number 1 run defense coming into the game in the entire NFL. So, of course, they get shredded by Josh Jacobs. Was not my week, folks. 8-13 on the week, 5 games under 500. This is not how I roll. It's the first losing week I've had in prop bets since we launched. So, I mean, it's so we had a good run. 63% we were coming into the week. So now, after an 8-13 week, I'm 49-37, still 12 games over 500, but I'm down to 57% on the season. I want to climb that back into the 60s with the work that we're about to get into tonight. But to Joe's point, like I said, I've been thrown off by the Fields thing based on getting burned earlier. But it's not like I'm looking at, I had a bad week of prop bets and I have to change up what I'm doing. I have to go Costanza on it and do the opposite and all that kind of stuff. No, same methodology, same belief, same system that I always use, and same thinking and stack grinding that I always use. And like I said, I'm 4 up and 1 down on the year in terms of overall week. So we had a bad week, and we're getting back to it here on Thursday Night Football. And again, like it'd be better to have like a tastier game with juicier matchups and all this kind of stuff. We might get 13-9 tonight. I'm predicting 23-20. I do think there's going to be a little bit more offense than a lot of other people do, and I want to stress just a little bit more offense. But let's start with Justin Fields and his rushing yards at 42.5. I am under Justin Fields rushing yards at 42.5 tonight. Under Fields at 42.5. Washington has been awesome at limiting rushing yards to quarterbacks. I know the random ass stat of the week, right? We're clocking the Washington defense and how they defend quarterbacks running against them. It's what we have to do here in the prop bet game. Trevor Lawrence in week 1, 2 carries, 4 yards. Jared Goff in week 2, 2 carries, -2 yards. This is the big one right here. Week 3, the Washington Commanders against Philadelphia and Jalen Hurts. Runs against everybody, right? He did not against Washington. He had 9 carries, 20 yards, no touchdowns. Off the top of my head, I would say that's the weakest running game Jalen has had all year. Cooper Rush the next week, 2 carries, 7 yards. Tannehill last week, 3 carries, 3 yards. Okay. Lawrence, Goff, Rush, and Tannehill did absolutely nothing. And Tannehill is a at times running quarterback. He'll scoot out and he'll run a little bit. But Hurts at 9 for 20. Think about that. 9 for 20 to Jalen Hurts, an MVP candidate. We're trying to get to 42.5 here for Justin Fields. I don't see it. And why is they've got 2 great linebackers. You've got Holcomb and you've got Jamin Davis, and they're outstanding sideline to sideline interior linebackers. And they don't let the quarterback get loose. Now, Jalen Fields' game flow does lend to an over here. He's gone 28, 20, 47, 52, 47. Okay, so the last 3 games, he's been over this number comfortably at 42.5. But to me, the stronger trend here is Washington and their ability to limit rushing yards by quarterbacks, which is consistent all year long, all 5 games they've done this. That, to me, is a stronger trend. And overall, the Commanders have an above average run defense. Okay, so I'm under on Justin Fields at 42.5 rushing yards. I am over on Brian Robinson at 51.5 rushing yards. This is an awesome matchup. Really can't get any better. Short week, at home, horrible run defense. The Bears are the 2nd worst run defense in the league. They're 31st, giving up 170 rushing yards per game. I'm not making up those numbers. This is talent meets opportunity. This is the first real crack for Brian Robinson. Boom, right now. Last week, they brought you back. Probably still had you in bubble wrap a little bit in your first game coming off of getting shot and then the recovery. And now is the boom. There you go. He's going to get 15 to 20 carries, maybe 20 plus. We're going to see bell cow type of stuff in the running game. The passing game is still going to be Gibson and McKissick. But the running game, I think, is going to be almost all Brian Robinson, and they will compartmentalize their backfield that way. Talent meets opportunity. There were promising signs last week in limited usage. Brian Robinson had 9 carries, 22 yards. Gibson had 3 carries, 6 yards. First game back, he was a 3-to-1 carry split with Antonio Gibson, okay? I think that might even expand a little bit more this week. So if we extrapolate this, let's say 18 carries for Robinson, 6 carries for Gibson. Okay, if we're at 18 carries for Brian Robinson against the 31st run defense in the National Football League, we're going over 51.5, okay? And I just know, I think you feel it, I feel it. Ron Rivera can't wait to get a different running back in there other than Antonio Gibson. Preseason showed us that. The fact that Robinson's first game back, 9-3 with the carry split, he can't wait to run a back other than Antonio Gibson because of the fumbles. They also want to show off their shiny new toy, 3rd-round pick, right? Next week, folks, look, I don't think tonight's going to be the mega breakout game for Brian Robinson, but I could definitely see 80 yards and a touchdown. Like he's going to have like a really nice game. I am under on David Robinson at 62.5 rushing yards. 62.5 rushing yards. David Montgomery, I'm under on that. What has he done to earn this big of a number? I ask you. David Montgomery's game flow this year has gone 26, 122, 11, 20. 26, 11, and 20. 3 games where he's not even approaching this number. And he's got 1 game, that was the Green Bay game, and the Green Bay sucks against the run, and we know this, right? At 122. How does that body of work get us to 62.5? Last week, I think David Montgomery might have thrown a lot of us off. He scored a couple of touchdowns, but he had 12 carries, 20 yards, and 1 touchdown. 12 carries, 20 yards on the ground. Wow. Khalil Herbert is still in the mix. Don't forget him. 4 carries last week, and it was the David Montgomery show. But the Bears were in come from behind mode, which meant the passing game personnel on the football field more, which means David Montgomery, he's more of their pass-catching running back than Khalil Herbert is. So that was a game script thing, okay? I believe that Khalil Herbert's going to get 8 to 10 rushes tonight. I do. And he's going to start Pac-Manning into David Montgomery's production a little bit in the running game. I don't think that Herbert is going to pinch David Montgomery in the passing game. And hold that thought. I'll get to that in just a moment. Washington's defense, like we talked about, is pretty good against the run. They're 13th in running back rushing yards allowed at 405 games. Montgomery has played against the Commanders before. He had 67 yards in that one meeting, but it's so isolated and so random that I don't put a ton of weight into that. But I didn't want to let you know, just in case you were wondering. I'm under David Montgomery, 62.5 rushing yards. And so I said, hold that thought. I am over David Montgomery at 15.5 receiving yards. And I like this one. I really do. I get the tickle about this one. The Washington defense gives up 31.4 receiving yards per game to running backs. 31.4 receiving yards per game to running backs. Montgomery, I believe, will be the only Bear running back to catch a pass tonight. I really believe that. So if he catches 3 for, 6 yards each, we're at 18. We're over this number. And I think it could inflate a little bit more than that. In terms of flow for David Montgomery in the receiving yards category, he's gone 24, 14, 0, DNP, and 62 last week. We can flush the 0 because that was the game in which he got hurt. Not a full game. I don't include that in my evaluation. 24, 14, 62. That's what this comes down to. And he's over 2 of the 3 games this year on this number of 15.5 and barely missed with the 14 in the other week. And we talked about how Montgomery is the preferred guy in the passing game out of that running back room. And to prove that, Khalil Herbert has 5 catches in 5 games. They don't throw the ball to him, folks. So I am over on David Montgomery here at 15.5 receiving yards. Darnell Mooney, I should say. I am over on his receiving yard total.
Check.
I'm over his receiving yard total of 45.5. And think about it. I mean, there's a lot of reasons to like this. It's one big play. And I feel like a big chunk play is coming from Justin Fields and Darnell Mooney tonight. Do we have right now Byron Lambert of Roster Watch? Can you hear me, Byron? Is it time to welcome you to the big stage here on Bettor Sports Network?
I can, Rick. Pleasure to be back, my man. How you doing, brother?
Yo, Byron, what's happening, man? What's going on over at Roster Watch, man? Tell the people what you're doing, how they can get involved, all the platforms, all the podcasts. Give the people the skinny here.
Yeah, a lot of stuff. Roster Watch having its best season ever. I just published our one of our biggest features during the season every year. It's our weekly trade cast. It's a podcast that I host every week, and it's a deep dive into game theory and general strategy around each week's trade market because, most people improve their teams through the waiver wire every week, Rick, but I think one of the most underutilized aspects of fantasy for improving your team throughout the season is the trade market. So it was a big, hefty edition of the rosterwatch.com week 6 trade cast this week. It's a very robust trade market. I actually think this week there's a lot of blockbusters in store. And it's an awesome week to go after a prestigious wide receiver if you're looking to fill a hole at that position on your roster. And other than that, man, we've also introduced NFL picks every week of the season against the spread. So all of our subscribers can come to rosterwatch.com, and every week of the season they can see all of our recommended picks against the spread for NFL games every week of the year, man.
That's absolutely fantastic, man. Take us into the podcast you did here on TradeCast. I'm fascinated, especially with you saying a good week to have blockbusters, good week to go after a big name wide receiver who may be underperforming so far. I believe, depending on what I get to tonight and what I don't, I'm going to dive into this a little bit tomorrow in terms of guys to sell high on, guys to buy low on. I think I'm involved in some mind reading here. I am getting Jamar Chase vibrations from you, Byron Lambert of Roster Watch, in terms of that big name wide receiver who you can go get right now in a trade. Is that one of the names you're talking about?
Indeed it is, Rick. I mean, let's not bury the lead. I really, as all cavernous as this particular episode is in terms of tons of guys on the sell and buy side, I really think that the headliner is the elite and prestigious wide receivers. And of course, there's nobody more name cachet and more prestige than Jamar Chase. But here's the thing. I mean, points per game, half point PPR on the season, Rick. Jamar Chase is only wide receiver 21, 10.6 targets per game. He's getting 5 targets a game more than his teammate T. Higgins, who's actually been wide receiver 15 on the season, is a little bit banged up right now. So, look, a lot of times I say on the trade cast, especially when it comes to these headliners, like, dude, we're big game hunting, especially if we're operating from a position of strength. And this is all about, over the course of the season, increasing the player equity across the entirety of your roster, especially your starting lineup. And there's nothing you want to do more than go after the absolute marquee players in the league. And of course, Jamar Chase is the quintessential example of that. But I say often, like, this isn't always about buying low. Sometimes it's about buying. I mean, you're not going to rip your league mate off for Jamar Chase, but the fact that he's even available on the trade market is news in its own right. So you have Jamar Chase is available this week. I mean, you got AJ Brown, wide receiver 22 and half point PPR points per game on the season. He's available. CeeDee Lamb, wide receiver 26, 10 targets a game. He's available with Dak return, imminent. I think even the Miami wide receivers, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, you have Hill. He's wide receiver 5. He's had 2 stinkers, though, the last few weeks. They have a quarterback situation in total upheaval. Again, I don't think you'll get Tyreek Hill at a discount, but at 10 targets a game, the fact that he's even available, I think he could be this week if he's rostered by a losing owner. I mean, you have Jalen Waddle, similar situation, wide receiver 9, only 7.6 targets per game. But, again, he might be available, and there's a slew of other guys here. I mean, what about the Devontae Adams owner, Rick? Devontae Adams heading into a bye. There's some ominous situation about him possibly having a suspension after this misdemeanor assault charge with shoving the reporter in Kansas City on Monday night. I mean, is he rostered by a losing owner that just can't deal with those headaches. And, I'd say beyond that, there's still, 4 or 5 guys. I mean, Deontay Johnson, wide receiver 49 on the season. It's a horrible situation in Pittsburgh, but the fact is the guy's getting 10 targets a game. Maybe things will heat up a little bit with Kenny Pickett. 0 touchdowns so far in the season for Deontay Johnson. You got to feel like there's no way Deontay Johnson finishes at wide receiver 49 this year.
You would think not. That would be very nutty after the last couple of years that he has had. A very, very smart man hanging out with your boy Cam here tonight. Byron Lambert of Roster Watch. And Byron, with the opening kickoff of tonight's ball game, just moments away. Who you got? I sheepishly, squeamishly, and rather unconfidently have the Chicago Bears tonight. Now, I've given the people a lot of reasons why I've got the Bears tonight. We got to back up our opinions with stats and goodies and all that stuff. But I don't know if I'd have my own money on this, right? I'm contractually obliged to give out betting advice on the game coming up tonight. I'm not sure I'd have my own money on this. I would have my own money on the prop bets that I've procured for tonight. But where are you at here? The Commanders or the Bears?
Well, I think it's actually really interesting because you have over 60% of the bets coming in on the Bears against the spread tonight, but it's only about 50-50 when you look at the money line. And the truth is, this is really essentially, a pick 'em game, Rick, with, only a 1 or 2 point spread. If you look at the data here, the underlying data, the Washington Commanders only 1-4 against the spread on the season, 0-2 on the road, whereas you have the Bears 2-2 against the spread this season, 2-0 at home. Certainly, I just referenced that we give away, we provide NFL picks against the spread every week of the season for every game of the season at rosterwatch.com. And our models are showing it's one of our lower confidence picks. It's not a strong degree of confidence, but our models certainly have the Chicago Bears as the pick to cover the spread at home this evening. All of that said, Rick, I am going to zig when everybody else zags. I'm going to go against all of our data and our models, and my gut just tells me that this is the one that the Commanders are going to win. And the reason I think so is, at the end of the day, even though Ron Rivera threw Carson Wentz totally under the bus this week, he's been a top 10 quarterback in fantasy. Justin Fields has been the exact opposite of that. And when I look at the matchup ratings over at rosterwatch.com, I mean, this is the lowest projected, scoring affair of the week, a 38-point game total. But when you look at it, the Commanders, it's the number 11 matchup per our inputs for fantasy quarterbacks for Carson Wentz, who's been a top 10 guy on the season, points per game. And it's a really good matchup for the Commanders running backs. It's a top 5 matchup for the Commanders running backs. And I just really think that at this juncture, that's the strength of the Commanders team. I know Antonio Gibson, manager's certainly not thrilled about it, but it looks like a pretty competent committee there in Washington at the running back position. I think this is a game script that sets up for them to be able to feed them, maybe run some play action at Carson Wentz behind that. And those are actually the juicy matchups from a fantasy perspective for the Washington players. And if you flip the script over to the Bears side of things, their strength is their run game with David Montgomery back in and regaining the bell cow role last week and looking pretty good. This is it's not the worst matchup in the league, but we have it as the number 23 matchup in the league for a fantasy running back. So I think that when you look at all the matchups, they actually play a little bit to the Washington Commanders' strength here. And I just feel like my gut just says that's the better team with the better players, a formidable defensive line. So I'm actually going to go against everybody and take the Commanders in this particular one.
I got you, Byron. Byron Lambert, Roster Watch, hanging out with Cam here. I got 2 prop bets left to sort of unpack here. So I'll go into the rationale, and then you tell me if you're with me or against me on this. Darnell Mooney, I'm over him, Byron, on his receiving yard prop at 45.5. I'm over that. Look, to me, he's been fine. It's been Fields missing him, the offensive line getting caved, a run-heavy approach. It's not like he has been stinking up the joint. They're just not getting him the ball. Fields' pass attempts have been 20-plus the last 2 games. I'm a little jaundiced about that because those were come from behind games where you pass the ball more. So I don't know how much traction we really truly have with that. But Mooney's been over this number the last 2 weeks, 94 and 52. And Washington, their defense on wide receivers is terrible. Fourth in wide receiver yards allowed, tied for third in most wide receiver touchdowns allowed. So I got Mooney over 45.5 tonight, Byron. How about you?
I like that one. I prefer that to the Justin Fields, any Justin Fields prop, potentially. I like them. And look, it's the number one matchup per our inputs at rosterwatch.com. The number one matchup in all of fantasy for wide receivers. Darnell Mooney at home. I think that's their best option to try to win this game. And if you listen to the pregame over on Prime Video, this kind of surprised me, but Ryan Fitzpatrick says he thinks that in a vacuum, Darnell Mooney is a top 15 wide receiver talent in this league. That kind of blew my air back, certainly at the number one matchup of the season right now tonight against Washington. I guess the proof will be in the pudding, but I think that's something to look for there. And, we have a really interesting situation with Fields. It's a top 6 matchup for fantasy quarterbacks for Justin Fields at home. Like you said, he's gotten a little bit of an uptick in his in terms of his passing numbers. It's really a travesty, though. It's like they said, this is not the regime that drafted Justin Fields. This is an offensive. It feels like they're trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. They're saying this is our system, and Fields is just going to have to fit it, and we'll see what happens instead of kind of tailoring this to his strength of his rushing capability and his deep passes. See, I wish the coaching staff would get over their hubris and quit being these stodgy NFL types and give the guy a chance to succeed. I worry a little bit about Fields being able to run around versus a formidable Commanders, defensive front. But maybe this is it. Maybe this is the game where he can fit the system and drop some bombs deep to Darnell Mooney and surpass our expectations as a passer.
That's how you get fired. That's how you go one and done as a coach. I don't know if it's going to go down that way for Eberflus, but right, especially with a young fellow like Justin Fields, right? He's not good enough to just blend in with any system, any old system you want. Like some old pro that's done this with 7 different coordinators and 5 different teams. Give me a damn break, man. Look, what Baltimore did for Lamar Jackson is what the Bears need to be doing for Justin Fields. You create an offense around his skills. You don't force him into the offense that you want to run. That's literally stupidity. One more prop bet to bounce off you here, Byron, and we'll let you go. Curtis Samuel. I am over on Samuel tonight at 46.5 receiving yards. His game flow has gone 55, 78, 48, 38, 62. So over this number in 4 out of 5 this year. The target share is fantastic. He's been at least 7 in every game, 2 in double figures. 5 for 50 gets us home here. And that's kind of where he lives, right? He's kind of a 5 for 50 guy. You don't have Logan Thomas. You don't have Jahan Dotson tonight. Maybe leads to a couple, 3 more targets. So I'm on Curtis Samuel tonight over 46.5. Where are you at with that one, Byron?
I agree. I think no Dotson, no Thomas. I guess you could make some kind of counterintuitive argument that means there could be more focus on Samuel, but in the end, he's been one of the leaders in snap counts and targets, and he's basically surpassed that number in almost every game. So I just think that if you don't want to twist yourself into a pretzel with some kind of advanced logic, galaxy brain logic, you just say, look, there's more targets to go to Samuel this week. He's a guy they've been focused on getting involved, and that's really not a huge number for him to surpass.
It is not. Byron, fantastic to hang out with you for a little bit here. I'll let you go right in advance of the game so you can clock it and watch it and do whatever you're going to do. And we'll be checking you out on Roster Watch and look forward to our next chat, man. Enjoy.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on, Rick. Have a great evening, man.
Yes, sir. You too. That is Byron Lambert right there, folks, with Roster Watch at Roster Watch. Give them a follow. Go to rosterwatch.com and check out their great service. Very, very heady stuff. All right, I'm going to take a break right here. We'll come back. Thursday Night Football will be underway. I got a pick to make right now in the 30 Deep League. It's the 30-team redraft league, and I want to take a break here right before kickoff, and we'll come back. I want to get into, look, Dave Poland called me out the other night, and he said, I demand a retraction on your Broncos prediction, okay? So I paid that off, but tonight and next, okay, like just moments from now, I will tell you who my new pick is to win the Super Bowl this year. I had to flush my prediction on the Broncos. I called for a mulligan. The ball is on the tee. I got my driver in my hand, and I'm loosening up, and I'm doing all the little stretches and getting ready to just bang my driver on that little white ball. Hopefully 250 yards straight down the fairway. My mulligan and my new pick to win the Super Bowl is next. I'm Rick Kamla. We're Bettor Sports Live.
It's Moose and Keith with Mark Malusis and Keith Irizarry.
Moose and Keith with you. Let's welcome aboard right now, Iron Eagle.
One of the great stories that I have from doing notes on a plane, and you always get people looking over. They see color-coded uniform numbers, names, height, weight, age, background, hometown. And I had a woman sitting next to me on a flight, and I'm doing my notes, and she's kind of giving the look, then looking, and I can tell she's looking. And then finally, she'll say, so what is it that you do? Well, what do you think I do? I said, are you a wedding planner? I said, yes. I said, I have to put Rob Gronkowski at Tom Brady's table. I said, you know what? You're not correct, but it's the best answer I've ever heard.
That's great.
Corey Nando and Friends, presented by Mayo Media.
Fantasy Life Fantasy Executive. A football life to fantasy executive is probably going to be the best football life ever.
Who will be the guest? Everyone who was on yesterday, basically.
Yeah, everybody that's on yesterday will be the guest. Scott Engel, you know what I'm saying? Adam Ronis. Yeah, everybody, those people. Because what Nando, obviously you'll be there. You know what I'm saying? We'll go to the GST and shoot some scenes. You know what I'm saying?
That'd be nice.
We'll shoot some scenes in Midtown Manhattan. Antonio Brown can be on my football life,
That'd
right?
Be nice.
Because that's a big part of my come up as a fantasy analyst. Everybody, the football life, the fantasy executive is going to be for the people. When they do the football life on the fantasy executive, I'm going to be hands on.
Good. Yeah. You talking to you.
Lunch Money with Kyle and Ray, presented by FantasyGuru.com.
Cheetos or Doritos?
I truly love both. Cool Ranch Doritos.
Wow.
I grew up on Cheetos. I was a big Chester Cheetah guy.
Oh, nice.
But Ray, as I have aged into adulthood, I've moved away from the fun that is the Cheeto, and I've gone to the more cosmopolitan Cool Ranch Dorito chip. So I'm probably a Cool Ranch guy. How about you?
I would go Doritos. I don't like Cool Ranch. Yeah. The traditional, original, regular, whatever it is really good. But my favorite's actually the sweet chili, the purple bag. Oh, it's delicious. It's fantastic.
Yeah. The one that sucks, and I think we can all agree on this, taco.
Yeah.
I know a lot of things, and I'm perfect at a lot of things. My Dorito trivia is a little shaky.
Okay.
A little shaky. But I think taco is the first flavor.
We are back on Bettor Sports Live. I am Rick Kamla. 3.5 minutes until I have to pick here in this league. This is a tough call. There's a lot of three-point shooting still out here. Grayson Allen, Patty Mills, Terrence Ross, Luke Kennard, Quentin Grimes, Cam Thomas, Josh Christopher. A lot of wing three-point shooting is out here and available. So, but I do need three-point shooting, and I'm going to take it from a different avenue because these guards are going to be left for me. I'm going to take Marcus Morris of the Los Angeles Clippers. Fantastic three-point shooter, probably going to give me around 13 points, 4 rebounds, an assist. He gives no defense at all, which sucks, but he should be at about 2 threes per game. And again, we are unbelievably deep already in this draft. It's a 30-team league, and that was just my 8th round pick. So my starting lineup is complete. Point guard Kyle Lowry, shooting guard Donovan Mitchell, guard Victor Oladipo, small forward I got Paolo Banchero, power forward I got Anthony Davis there, forward I got Evan Fournier, center I got Steven Adams, and my flex is Marcus Morris. So I got balance. I've got guys that are going to play. Because a lot of people, they take too much, they go too sleeperish with their picks, right? Well, if this guy, he's behind this guy, but if this guy gets hurt, then this guy's going to be good. Like, I don't know. I mean, this is a 30-team league. It's not a dynasty league. Like, I don't care. I'll take a 35-year-old, a 33-year-old. I want the goodies right now. And I like the fact that Marcus Morris is small forward and power forward eligible. So there it is. The pick has been made by your boy Cam. Needed a little drink of tea before we get into this. As it's Rick Camla on Bettor Sports Live, and Thursday Night Football is just about to get underway here. They're about 2 minutes in, and no score so far. We may be saying a lot of that tonight, the no score part. Mooney already has a catch for 7 yards. Montgomery already has a couple of carries for 4 yards. Fields already has a run for 8 yards. So we'll be tracking this obviously throughout the night. But Dave Poland, everybody listening, and Byron Lambert in the chat right here. I love to see that. Talking with our guy Better Boss, and Dave Poland's out here. So my new pick to win the Super Bowl this year is the Kansas City Chiefs, and it is not the Buffalo Bills. I'll explain in a minute why I didn't go with the Bills, and this decision came down to the Chiefs or the Bills. Reason number one, Patrick Mahomes is on a mission. He does not have Tyreek Hill. By the way, he's gone a couple of years without winning a championship here. And I can already tell, I can see it in the way that he plays. You don't have Tyreek Hill. He's in Miami, okay? Hill made the comments that he made. Tua's a more, accurate quarterback than Patrick Mahomes is, all this kind of stuff. Well, this is the revenge tour for Patrick Mahomes. Oh, okay. You didn't think I could do it, did you? What do great players do when there's a narrative about them that they don't agree with? The great players, the Hall of Fame level guys, the GOAT level guys, they always dig deep in their bag better to prove everybody wrong. Remember, Michael Jordan always manufacturing all these little ways of motivation, right? Somebody somewhere back before the finals against Portland said Clyde Drexler is on Michael Jordan's same level at the 2-guard position. And Michael Jordan freaked out and humiliated, or tried to, Clyde Drexler in that final series. Of course, the Bulls won, right? They didn't even say Drexler was, I don't believe somebody said Drexler was better than Michael. They just said he's in the same category as Michael. And Michael's like, what? Clyde Drexler's in the same category as me? Well, I'm going to have to go out there and prove you wrong. And he did. Patrick Mahomes. Oh, you didn't think I could do it without Tyreek Hill? I'll show you. That stuff is powerful, man. Super powerful. And Patrick Mahomes is backing it up on the football field. He is 4th in yards passing at 1398, 4th most passing yards in the league. He's number 1 in passing touchdowns with 15, and his ratio is 15-2. He is 8th in completion percentage at 66.7%. That is a career high for Patrick Mahomes. Yes, coming off of the Tyreek Hill comments about accuracy, Patrick Mahomes is now averaging a career high in accuracy. You can't make it up. This stuff matters, folks. This stuff matters. Patrick Mahomes is the best player in the National Football League. I defy you to tell me somebody different. Who's a better football player in the NFL than Patrick Mahomes? Go. I'll wait. Join the show. Hit the fun button. Bang, 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 bang on the fun button. You do what you got to do. But you tell me who's better in this league, who you would rather have on your team for 1 year to go win a championship right now than Patrick Mahomes. If you say Josh Allen, you're wrong. Patrick Mahomes is the guy, the most talented. He's got championship DNA. He's the best player in the National Football League. And he is the MVP of the league right now. Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, MVP of the league right now. He is. Got the stats, got the record, all that. Reason number 2, why I am flipping off of my Broncos prediction, staying in division, and going with the Kansas City Chiefs, is Andy Reid. Andy Reid is the best current coach in the NFL. He's better than Belichick. Belichick has lost his way. He's better than Tomlin. He's better than Harbaugh. He's better than Shanahan. He's better than McCarthy down in Dallas. He's better than all of the gangster NFL coaches right now. Sean McDermott up in Buffalo. He's better than all these guys. Andy Reid is the the greatest gangster that we have at head coach in the NFL. And right now, and I understand that you're saying, well, Belichick is the GOAT, Cam. How can that be true? Now you're bringing up old stuff. Bill Belichick can't draft anymore, okay? Talk to me. Nick Chubb, Sony Michel. Talk to me. DK Metcalf, Debo Samuel versus N'Keal Harry, okay? Talk to me. This dude has lost his way. They are, remember the year when he should have bottomed out and just tanked, but he couldn't, and he went and got Cam Newton, and they were a mediocre team, right? He's lost his way. And not that he can't coach up a good defense and that kind of thing, but overall, he's lost his way. Andy Reid is not lost his way. Andy Reid's an absolute badass. They draft great. He's a great coach, makes the right decisions, when to go for it, when to kick, when to punt. The guy's the man. I trust him more than any other head coach in the NFL. As we talk all the time with all these coaches making these asinine decisions, a lot of games come down to that. We talked about Ron Rivera in the Washington-Tennessee game. To me, Ron Rivera helped to give the other team the game. We talk about Nathaniel Hack in the opener, the Russell Wilson game there at Seattle. He literally gave the game to the Seattle Seahawks, okay? Brian Robinson, 2 early carries here in the ball game for the Commanders. And so reason number 3 why I'm flipping to the Chiefs off of my prediction of the Broncos to win it all is Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Clyde Edwards-Helaire has been fantastic. Almost scored last week. He's got 5 touchdowns in 5 games. He had a lousy game last week. Let's be honest, right? The yardage was very, very low, and he didn't help us. He let us down. But he's been fantastic in the other games, and the whole body of work looks pretty good. He's got 5 touchdowns in 5 games, 1 per week. Okay, who won't sign up for that? That's 17 touchdowns over the course of a healthy season. The Chiefs' offensive line is rolling. They put it back together last year after losing to the Bucs in the Super Bowl. They attacked their offensive line. They nailed it. And now the Chiefs' offensive line is a strength and not a weakness. Patrick Mahomes has been sacked 8 times in 5 games. That's amazing, okay? The Chiefs' defense, let's talk about them. Why didn't the Chiefs win the Super Bowl last year? Well, many reasons, but their defense sucked. Their defense doesn't suck anymore. Okay, they don't. They're they're not like best in the league and all that kind of stuff, but they are in terms of where they're at right now, it's better than where they were last year. Okay. This year they're 14th in yards allowed, in total yards allowed, 14th at, and this is the key number, 393 per game. 390, pardon me, I said it wrong. 339. Okay. 14th in the league in total yards allowed at 339. Last year, they allowed 368 total yards per game. They're down 30 yards per game, 3 first downs off of what they were defensively last year. The Kansas City Chiefs have the number 3 run defense in the NFL. Number 3. They're at 83.6 rushing yards allowed per game. Last year, they gave up 117 rushing yards per game. Let's see, 17. So they're down 34 rushing yards per game off of their number last year. They are allowing 25 points per game, which is too high. We can all agree on that. But these other metrics are positive, and they show that the Chiefs' offense is coming around, okay, and that it's improving, and that's all we needed to see off of last year. And like Cincinnati proved last year, they did not win it all, but with an average defense and a rock star offense, they should have won the Super Bowl. They did some really choky stuff in the fourth quarter, which the Chiefs will not do if they get in that same scenario. So all we need is the Kansas City defense to get back to the middle of the pack and then have this rock star offense, and you're going to be fine. So I got the Chiefs. And you ask, why not the Bills, Cam? Why didn't you go to the Bills? Because the Bills are the chalkiest of all the chalk, right? I have trust issues with Josh Allen. Josh Allen, low-key, has choky tendencies. The Miami game this season, did you watch it? Extremely choky. The throw he had on the possession before they drove and the time ran out, Mr. Receiver threw low, threw at his feet. It was like, Josh, what was that? Brutal. It was Kirk Cousins-esque. Too many mistakes at the end of games. Let's look at his track record here in the playoffs. Where is the confidence coming from? Obviously, last year he was amazing, but you look at the total body of work. Last year in the playoffs, he was amazing. 637 passing yards, 9 touchdowns, no picks. You really can't do any better than that. Obviously, they fell short. The overtime rule, we all get it. Let's go back to the 2021 AFC Championship game at Kansas City. He had 287 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. completed 58%. That was the game they couldn't run the ball. He had to throw every time, and we saw it. Guess what? Same scenario for the Bills. They had the same exact running backs plus James Cook, same setup on offense, most of the same players overall. And so what's going to happen this year? I believe the running game is going to significantly let Buffalo down. And then his first playoff run was a game at Houston in 2020, which they lost, and he had 264 yards, no touchdowns, completed 52%. The body of work for Josh Allen in the playoffs is not great, and he's young, and he's developing, and he's getting better, but he's not a finished product yet. Pat Mahomes is, okay? That's a reason for me why I'm going on to Kansas City and not going on to Buffalo. In moments, we're going to welcome on John Venezia, Johnny VTV from NBC Sports Bet in just a moment here on Thursday Night Football. It's Rick Kamla on Bettor Sports Live. The Bills have never won a Super Bowl. I mean, you knew that, right? But there's a betting angle here. The Bills have never won the Super Bowl. Neither have the Vikings. Neither have the Browns. There's a lot of teams. Do you think the Bills are suddenly going to win it all, which they've never done before? They've had the best team in the NFL before. They have, and they have not gotten it done. Wide right, anyone? Are the Bills cursed? Is this their year? Are they a small market team like my former Minnesota Vikings that are good, they tease you, they break your heart, and that's who they are? Until the Bills show me that they're different than that, I'm going to think they're the small market little team that could get everybody's hopes up, get everybody's dreams excited and tantalized, and they will let you down. They will break your heart. Odell Beckham style. That's where I'm at with the Bills, man. Do they have a fantastic team? Yes. Are they going to cover spreads? Yes. Are they going to help us win Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs and Gabriel Davis, who helped me win fantasy games? Yes. Yes. Are they going to win the Super Bowl? I don't think so. I got the Kansas City Chiefs winning the Super Bowl. We got my boy. We got Johnny BTV up in here. Johnny BTV, man, what's going on? How's everything over at NBC Sports Bet, brother?
It's going great, man. How's everything with you? You know, another day, another dollar. Summer, so I could do a little GTL, gym tan laundry, but we live in cold weather, so I'm not going to be tanning anytime soon. I promised the dermatologist I would not go back in the tanning bed.
That's a good call right there. You said gym tan laundry, GTL. Was that the acronym you just hit us with right there? GTL.
That is the acronym. I'm going to add a B to it. Gym tan laundry bet.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Now the tan part. So are you you go lay out in the sun, you put a little oil on, or like you because you want to go out and look good for the ladies, right? You're trying to stay tan around here. Is that the vibe here, Johnny BTV?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I want to look good, but you know, the ladies, whatever the case is, I want to look good for me. I got to look tan. Like I can't be coming. Like if I'm all Italian, people like mistaking me for Irish. That's like a huge blow that's a huge blow considering like my father's really dark. Like he gets dark during the summer. And it's not fair. And he's like, oh, well, you know, it is what it is. Like, go blame your mother because my mother's got a little fairer skin. But, it's tough, man. Especially, like, I don't live in Florida anymore. You know how it is, Tampa. Like, right now, bro, like, I'd be outside just on the bay if it was if I was 1,500 miles south. But can't do that anymore.
The weather today wasn't great. And then I know up there in New York, you're in New York, right, Johnny V?
Connecticut currently.
New York-ish. I'm sure it's raining like hell up there. They're not playing the Yankee game tonight because of it. But all right, so I want to bring you in on what I was talking about right here. Johnny BTV, I get some predictions right, I get some wrong. You get some predictions right, you get some wrong, right? We try our best in this game. I screwed up with Denver. And I called him to win the Super Bowl many, many, many months ago, thinking that Russell Wilson would come. Stop laughing. Coming into the season, thinking that Russell Wilson would be motivated and fired up and have a chip on his shoulder. And none of that has happened. He is just bilking the Broncos of $250 million. He's in it for him and his bank account, not for the love of the game anymore. That's my truth on Russ. That's on him, not me. And so anyway, right? Wrong prediction, my bad. I just explained, Johnny BTV, that I have taken my mulligan and I'm on the Kansas City Chiefs. and I'm not on the Buffalo Bills, and I've got more reasons why, and I'll tell the people why in a minute. But who is your call to win the Super Bowl this year? Who are you on right now? And if you have maybe a bet you like better, like your pick is this, but I don't like the odds, and so I like the odds on this team better. But just overall, just who's your team? Who's your Super Bowl pick this year?
Not to toot my own horn, but I've currently successfully predicted in the preseason, I might add you, the last 2 Super Bowl winners with Tampa Bay, LA. And I had a dream after I cashed my second straight Super Bowl winning ticket with the Rams. A week later, I woke up in a cold sweat. It was Justin Herbert, 37 seconds left in the Super Bowl, throwing the game-winning touchdown pass to Keen Daddy on a deep crosser. Chargers win by 4. And I was like, take it to the bank. Next day, hit that play. Chargers are my pick. I stick to my convictions. I still believe in them despite all the bad injuries. And despite the fact that Brandon Staley, for as smart of a guy as he is, he's an absolute dope at times. He relies too much on the analytics. If the analytics told this guy to go stand in front of an oncoming train, you know what he would do? He would go stand in front of an oncoming train. So that's where I have problems with this team. But I still have to stick with my guy, Justin Herbert, a.k.a. Herbie Fully Loaded. The Chargers, Your Honor, no objections.
So obviously, having a Broncos opinion built into that was maybe an anti-Chargers opinion. I did not have the Chargers making the playoffs this year. You might not have had you might not have had the Broncos making the playoffs this year.
I didn't.
Did you have?
I didn't.
See, it was. I mean, you kind of had to pick between the two.
The first day I came on, what did I tell you? And I'm so happy that everybody is finally seeing what I've seen for 10 years. I had to be alone with this, that Russell Wilson is the most overrated quarterback of this generation, maybe ever. People thought I was kidding. I wasn't. I never was kidding about that. People thought he was so good, and I tried for years to say he wasn't. And people were like, oh, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. Like, listen, I don't get everything right, but I watched enough. I've never seen somebody as lucky as he was. The day that Fail Mary game on Monday night in 2012 against the Packers went his way when it clearly should not have, with the lockout strike the refs were on, that's when we knew everything goes this guy's way that shouldn't have. That was the first indicator. This guy has made what people would perceive as a Hall of Fame career in key situational moments. He makes 1 or 2 good plays a game that help his team win, but a lot of luck, his defense and running game, and other guys making the plays around him. But because he's the quarterback, and because he's a media darling, and because he's done 1 or 2 good things in a game that's helped his team win, he's perceived as this all-time great quarterback. When I got news for you, one thing I said, Cam, if Andrew Luck got drafted to that same Seahawks team, they would have won 3 Super Bowls. 3. Not 1, not 2, 3. If Andrew Luck, who was miles better than Russell Wilson, it wasn't even a competition.
I love it. I love the passion, and I love the being alone and all that, man. Johnny VTV, you the man. He's with NBC Sports Bet. John Benizia hanging out with Rick Camley here. Justin Fields has a pick and 43 yards passing so far, has thrown an interception. Commanders have the rock back here. 2:18 to go in the first quarter. Bagel on the scoreboard. Johnny VTV, who did you have tonight? And based on what you've seen so far through this, as I like to say, puke bucket of a first quarter, are there any live betting opportunities that are jumping into your brain right now? Or are you just hanging in there with your pregame prediction on who would win this ball game?
The only thing I had pregame was a gallon of bleach in a funnel because this is a horrendous game. However, live bet opportunity would be Carson Wentz anytime interception. I still like Brian Robinson anytime tutty. I was a huge fan of this guy coming in this year. I thought he was going to usurp Gibby in the starting role. And it turns out from the sources that I've been hearing that Brian Robinson is their guy. He, for better or worse, Washington thinks Robinson is going to fix their run game woes. I love Gibby. I love Brian Robinson. And I was big on him this year. And the fact that he came out to many men coming out of the tunnel last week, I was like, this is a no-doubter. This kid's getting in the end zone as long as they give him the ball inside the 5-yard line. That's something else I would look at. But aside from that, man, this is not a desirable game to be betting on. I'd rather save the bank for Sunday and Monday. I mean, you got Justin Fields throwing a pick inside the 5 here. I mean, what is going on? The NFL's got to be ashamed of themselves. If it's not Denver every primetime game, it's a slop fest here.
Johnny B. TV, are you a basketball fan? Do you watch the NBA?
Not anymore. Not since Donnie got caught betting on games he was officiating. I hung it up after that. I was a big basketball guy in the early 2000s, though, with Jordan, Iverson, Shaq, Kobe, all those guys. But I gave it up after that.
Why did you hang it up after the Donaghy scandal?
Because I was like, okay, first of all, like I was probably like 13 or 14 at the time. And
Okay.
I love the game. Like basketball to me could very well be the best sport itself, the best game itself. It's not good, man. I'm not a fan of the league. I think it's too star driven. The players run the league. And like sometimes that's good, but then they don't call fouls against the star players. Like you get guys that are taking 6 steps on a walk and they don't. I'm not a fan of it, man. And it's such a diluted product. It really, really is, in my opinion.
All right. Because I was going to.
I know the game though. So if you're throwing a basketball analogy, I understand the game very well.
Yeah. So the analogy was going to be, you mentioned the Broncos on national TV, right? And they obviously a lot of hype, and so I understand why the schedule makers put them in these nationally televised windows. It's obviously poofing in front of all of our faces. The Lakers, right? After the disaster that was last year, I believe they're number 1 in nationally televised games coming into this year. And I'm like, I do a show on NBA radio with Antonio Daniels, and I'm like, I don't want to watch more of the Lakers on national TV. I want to watch more of the Pelicans, the Timberwolves, my Cleveland Cavaliers, like sexy young teams that actually like have a pulse and have a heartbeat and are going somewhere. We're going somewhere with Johnny B TV, man. Let's get into the week 6 slate here a little bit, Johnny B. Bills and Chiefs, this week's game of the century. And I've been maintaining all week. Look, I just said I'm going with the Chiefs, not the Bills as my Super Bowl, my pick to win the Super Bowl. And for a lot of the same reasons, I like Kansas City to win this game. And I kind of can't believe that Buffalo is laying 2.5 at Arrowhead Stadium.
Shame on you for picking the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl, by the way, especially mid-season. That's the safest, most conservative pick that you could possibly think of. That's like if you had to make a lock of the week, you're putting out like a -400 favorite, Rick. Shame on you. But listen, I understand where you're going here. I'm having trouble with this one myself.
Johnny B TV, time out 1 second, just 1 second. One of our great listeners and fans, Dave Poland, he called me out. He said, I demand a retraction on your Super Bowl prediction. Okay. And I work on Mad Dog Sports Radio as well. All right. Saturdays in the 3 to 7 window. And I had to do this there, and I've done it here. Johnny B TV, I can't go through the rest of the season hanging on to this flimsy, awful prediction that the Broncos are going to win it all when the Broncos are singularly the biggest dumpster fire in the NFL this year. I'm going to sit here and go, I still think the Broncos are going to win it all. When every single thing that I watch on television tells me there's no effing way this team is going to win the Super Bowl, probably not even going to make the playoffs. So I know it's lame to bail midseason, but I could not keep my wagon hitched to the Broncos. And so now you're a free agent. I got to pick somebody, Johnny B. I'm certainly not picking your Chargers. I'm not going with the choky ass Vikings. So this is the team I think is going to win it all.
Fine. Okay. Listen. Let's just be clear about it. Fine. You can do what you want to do. In terms of this game, Mr. Kamla, I'm thinking here I have trouble myself, but I'm going to go with the Bills, and I'll tell you why. It's not just because the matchup where I think that Buffalo can take advantage of Kansas City weaknesses. And anybody that knows me who's read my stuff from the preseason, I'm not a believer on the Bills. The Bills were anointed the best team since the 1990s, despite not even having stepped foot on the field. They haven't made the Super Bowl since the 90s. Like, I don't know what we're talking about. And I think what people failed to understand was their biggest loss, they completely went under the radar. Brian Daboll is a huge loss. People don't understand that. And I've said, like, it's not going to be a glaring weakness during the regular season. They'll get But in the big moments in the playoffs when they have to go into Arrowhead and the game's on the line, Dable just knows this offense inside and out. They don't have him. That's when it's going to be a problem. So I don't believe in Buffalo. I don't believe that Josh Allen's as great as everybody thinks. He's an awesome fantasy quarterback. Patrick Mahomes is leaps and bounds better than this guy. Like, I'm a fan of Josh Allen, but I don't think he's Patrick Mahomes or even Justin Herbert by any stretch. I think I take the Bills here simply because the matchup is better. And Kansas City, man, they should have lost to the Raiders. They should have lost to the Raiders, and they should have lost to the Chargers. The only convincing wins they really had was against Arizona and Tampa Bay. And let's call it what it is. You know, if Tampa Bay doesn't fumble the opening kickoff, we might have a much different game on our hands. But let's give them credit. They came in and they dominated that game. So they really only have 2 great wins. They should have 3 losses. That 4-1 record is a complete fugazi. So I'm not buying in on Kansas City. I think that's my better judgment. I'll just take the money line and lay the vig with Buffalo this week. I have to, and we'll see what happens.
Interesting, my man. Johnny VTV, John Venezia hanging out with Cam here on Better Sports Live. He's with NBC Sports Bet. Cowboys and Eagles, man. The Cowboys continue to, shock us and win, and Cooper Rush is undefeated. The Dallas Dan Quinn's an assistant, and he probably should win Coach of the Year, right? He's doing more on the sideline or in the booth than Mike McCarthy is. I know that. Any old way, Johnny V. This number is now up to Philadelphia -6.5 on Sunday Night Football. Do you think the Dallas defensive line can buzzkill that offensive line and buzzkill Hurts to the point where Dallas covers or wins this game, or do you have Philadelphia remaining undefeated?
Philadelphia, I need to see what's going on with their tackle play right now. They're immersing Jordan Mailata and I think another guy. I can't remember off the top of my head last week against Arizona. And that's a big problem. I ultimately am going to probably end up going with Dallas here, getting 6.5. That's a lot of points for a divisional opponent. And I don't think people understand that Philly, while they're playing good, they're not playing great. They take their foot off the gas in the second half. I probably would look to do something along the lines of maybe taking Philly in the first half minus, let's say, 3 points, 4 points, whatever it is. And then over the course of the game, I would still end up going Dallas plus 6.5. This was a 5.5 point spread, and the public cracked Philly, got them up to 6.5. That to me is too much. I think the Eagles are bound to lose at some point. I don't think it's this week. And I just think the success the Cowboys have had against Philadelphia is going to ultimately rear its head once again. There's a lot of different avenues. So that's where I'm going here. And as for Dan Quinn, it's great he's having the success in Dallas for this defense. Could he have done this in Atlanta just once maybe and maybe got us to a Super Bowl instead of making me cry myself to 30 points, not getting a sack or a turnover?
Wait a minute. You say us. Are you a Falcons fan?
20 years. I'm weaning myself off it. It's been like a drug because my happiness and sadness, it lived and died with their successes and their failures for years.
Bro, you have been heartbroken a lot. You've been boo-hooing, man. Nobody tortures their fan base. Pardon me. The only team that tortures their fan base more than the Falcons are the Vikings.
But the Vikings didn't blow the Super Bowl lead like that. I didn't sleep for 3 days.
The Vikings haven't been to the Super Bowl since the 70s, though. I mean, the 70s.
Yeah, but they didn't blow the lead. It was a huge lead. And now, and then the worst case part of it is Matt Ryan gets all the blame. Like, he didn't have one of the best Super Bowl time as a quarterback. And, people blame him because Kyle Shanahan is arrogant and think he wanted to run up the score on New England. And guess what? He did the same thing against the Chiefs in 2018 as the Niners head coach.
Yeah, he's all gas, no brakes. Like you've got to contextualize a little bit. Literally, if the Falcons would have taken a knee on that drive after the Julio amazing catch on the sideline, 3 knees and a field goal, you win the Super Bowl. And Johnny VTV gets his chip with the Atlanta Falcons. Johnny VTV, you need to know about your boy Cam. I worked on the home of the Falcons for 7 years in Atlanta and was extremely close to the team. Going out to Flowery Branch watching practices. I was with the team in Houston for that Super Bowl when they lost, very, very in with that team for 7 years. and became friendly with a lot of people with the team and that kind of stuff. They are a shredder of hearts. And how many times you been to Atlanta, Johnny B?
So I didn't. It's weird because I 20 years ago, 2001, 02, right around when Vic got drafted, and I watched him play a little bit. Tech. So like I was born in '93, so like Vic was at Virginia Tech in 2000s, where I probably saw him play in one of the bowl games. I was like, oh, who's this guy running around? He's so fast. And then I followed him a little bit, and then I became like a diehard in like 03, I would say. And I never went to Atlanta. I always wanted to. I went to one of the games when I was 16 in Matt Ryan's second year in the. And
was that the 23? Was that the 23-2 game? Was that game?
The playoffs. That was in the playoffs. But
that's right.
The first time I went by myself for the NFC Championship game to close out the Georgia Dome when they beat the brakes off the Packers. That was unbelievable. And then I went back every year after that. And then I stopped. I didn't go for COVID. But like I would do a weekend trip to Atlanta every year. It's a great city. I loved going down there. And you know, I would like to go back sometime soon, but it's just hard, man. I want to go spend my hard-earned money. It's like $1,000 trip for a team lose. Go see Marcus Mariota under center. I don't think so. No thanks.
I hear you, man. I hear you. Shout out to Falcons fans, man. And look, I was a quasi Falcons fan for a little bit. You're just that close to the team. You do develop a little bit of an affinity for the team, but they can't hurt me anymore. I'm out of harm's way, man. As they continue to torture their fans. All right, let me ask you about one more game here, Johnny B, and we'll let you go. Ravens and Giants, very, very interesting game. 3-2 at 4-1. Baltimore laying 5.5 at MetLife Stadium. Where are you at with this one?
You're picking every game that's my main priority week, so you're reading my mind. I'm going to go here. I have to go with Baltimore. I love what New York's doing. New Jersey, I should say, the Giants. 4-1. But they're winning games they shouldn't win. They shouldn't have beat the Packers in London. It's just Aaron Rodgers and Matt LaFleur, I can't stand them. They shouldn't have won. Give them credit. Brian Dable, I loved that hire. You just heard me talk about him with the Bills. I thought he would have some kind of similar trajectory for this offense as he did for the Bills, obviously to a lesser degree. But I still thought that they would lay a lot of building blocks for next year. Next year's where they would take the step to start competing and be taken seriously. Of course, they're ahead of schedule right now, but I just don't see them in all seriousness. They have no receivers. That's the area where the Ravens struggle in the secondary. Saquon's awesome, but I think they're going to load the box in the front seven. They're going to have some spies for Daniel Jones if they try to get creative. I think Lamar Jackson is going to have a bounce-back game. He's had 2 bad games in a row. This Ravens offense, 20 points pretty much or less in the last 2 weeks, and I think this is where Baltimore should come in and steamroll them. Lamar needs to have about 300 to 400 all-purpose yards because the Ravens have to get it together. They could very well be falling behind if the Bengals go into New Orleans and win.
So I love the breakdown, especially the part about New York does not have the weaponry to exploit the number one weakness of Baltimore, which is their pass defense. What is it going to take? Last one on the way out here, Johnny B TV. What is it going to take for you to bail on the Chargers this year? They are 3-2 right now. Let's say they lose to the artist formerly known as Rick Hamlin's Broncos on Monday night, and they go to 3-3. And then let's say they lose the next game and the game after that. And now your Chargers, your Super Bowl pick, the epiphany that you had with that dream several months ago is 3-5. Is there some point where then you would bail on this Super Bowl pick and let go of that rope? Or are you going down with the ship like it's the Titanic in the deep, cold waters and with all the people in the water?
In my opinion, once I make a pick, I stick to it. I'm gonna ride with them. I'm gonna die with them. But like I'll recognize once the fact that if it's no longer a possibility, I have to scrap it, and then I have to say, all right, now I think this team is gonna win. So with that being said, even despite the bad losses, Rashawn Slater at left tackle is one of the worst losses among the offensive line for any team in football. He is one of the most key pieces on the O-line for any team in the NFL. And it's not just that, but it's the drop off to the next player. So Storm Norton and whoever else they're rolling out at left tackle. And by the way, left tackles aren't people that you can typically go out and trade for at the deadline. They're not like running backs or wide receivers. But if you look at what LA's got coming up here, and I know they've had problems with Denver the past few years. It's a tough matchup for them, just always is, divisional opponent. They have Denver this week, Seattle, Atlanta, San Francisco. Realistically, I think they should take Denver, Seattle, Atlanta. That would put them at what? 6-2. Then they have at the Niners versus the Chiefs. That is a huge swing. They need to beat the Chiefs in order to win the division. And I think they will beat Kansas City because I didn't think Kansas City was going to sweep them this year. I think that's a one where they're going to split. San Francisco, I think they're probably going to lose because they usually lose to the more run-heavy teams that can play defense. So I'd probably chalk them up with a loss there. Then they're at Arizona. I think they're going to steamroll Arizona. Raiders, I could see them probably losing to them just because of divisional split. Then they have the Dolphins. They're going to beat the Dolphins. They have the Titans. They'll probably beat them. I think LA they're right now in a position where they need to win their next 3 games just in case things get wonky down the stretch. I think the Chargers are a team that I'm going to be backing because they're going to make the playoffs. God, knock wood, they stay healthy.
Johnny V TV will be tracking it, man. Really appreciate your time and enjoy the ball game tonight as much as you can here. Obviously, it's not very thrilling, but we'll talk to you very soon, man. And I just tell people quickly here about NBC Sports Bet, man, how they get involved, where do they go for the website and all that. Give a little pop to the people.
Yeah, absolutely. So NBC Sports Edge, we have a ton of great contributors and creators. You go to the website, you can see all of our podcasts, all of our websites. Obviously, we have a ton of shows and a ton of content that's coming out. So definitely tune in. The site, man, NBCSportsEdge.com, that is where you're going to find out the hub for all of our content and everything that you can come and watch and enjoy and hopefully learn something from.
Johnny V TV, you the man. I appreciate it, man. What you got?
You're the man, but I want to tell you something. You're going to like this. So my work week is Sunday through Thursdays during football season. Great schedule, off Friday, Saturday. You want to know what I'm doing tomorrow? Take a guess.
What's that? What are you doing tomorrow? Are you heading down to Atlanta based on our conversation?
No. It was something at the top of the show before I got
on. Are you going to Kansas City?
I'm going to the Bronx tomorrow because I'm going to the game. Yankees, Cleveland.
Oh, nice. You gonna have money on it?
I don't know, man. I mean, I want to take Cleveland. I want to take Shane Bieber on the money line. I don't know though. I have to probably wake up and really think about this one.
Yeah, it's a game day decision. Who's on the hill for the Yanks?
Cortez
and Bieber. That's fascinating. Bieber was unhittable against the Rays in that first start, man. I gotta do some thinking and grinding on that. I do, but I know this. The weather's going to be good, right? You can go enjoy the game, have a beer, chill out a little bit, right?
Yeah. I mean, listen, maybe go get a nice little sausage and pepper sandwich with the onions, everything on it, little hot mustard, one of those really cool little ice cream cones. Or they have like all these like intricate little desserts and treats to go on. So yeah. I'm looking at
Johnny V TV, have fun, and wherever. I don't care who wins. I just want you to do well and prosper, man. So good luck on whatever you decide to do with that game. And Johnny V TV, we appreciate you here on Bettor Sports Network.
Stay well, man. Talk to you soon. Thank you.
It's my guy right there, Johnny V TV. They are asking for his Twitter handle. I will give it to you right now. He's at NBC Sports Bet. Johnny V TV's Twitter handle is @_ Johnny V TV, and that's not IE, that's with a Y. Johnny V TV, but start with the underscore. Give me a follow @Rick Kamla Sports. Give the network a follow on Twitter @Bettor Network. And man, this is fun. This game isn't very fun, but I just love the community that we're developing here on Bettor Sports Network. All the great interviews we've had tonight, hanging out with Joe Osborne of Vegas Insider, Byron Lambert of Roster Watch, John Venezia of NBC Sports Bet. And it's a lot of fun. It really is. It's a blessing to be here. This game is not a blessing. It is a blessing if you've got the under. We're bagel right now, 38 went up to 38.5 before kickoff. We're bagel, 9:06 left in the second quarter. This was a game to avoid from a fantasy perspective for a lot of reasons and for a lot of players, obviously with a couple of exceptions here. Those exceptions, which for me were Darnell Mooney, going over his yardage total. Not happening, at least not yet. We got a long way to go. 8:19 to go in the second quarter. Justin Fields has that pick in the red zone. Wentz isn't really doing much. Robinson does have all the carries for Washington right now, 6 carries and 16 yards. No Logan Thomas. So Cole Turner, of course, the rookie out of Nevada, is playing well. Anybody who had John Bates in their lineup in desperation, got to start two tight end fashion. Well, he's got none, and Cole Turner already has 2 grabs. So a very weird start to this game, and it is 0-0 right now. So let's take a break. I'm going to come back and continue explaining why I have taken a mulligan here, and I'm on the Kansas City Chiefs to win the Super Bowl, and not the Buffalo Bills. I'll continue to give my rationales on why not the Bills. I'll take a look at the updated odds here on to win the Super Bowl, and I'll tell you where I'm at with that based on Kansas City and the other lay of the land. I'll give you some of the better values with that. We'll do it next. I'm Rick Kamla. Happy to have you guys and girls along for the ride right here on Bettor Sports Live on the Bettor Sports Network.
Corey, Nando, and friends, presented by Mayo Media on Bettor Sports Network.
Offense is down this year, Nando.
Yeah, it is.
Offense is down this year. Definitely. Offense has been problematic this year. There's a lot of teams in the NFL that struggle offensively. And let me look it up right now. Geno Smith right now is QB6 on the season.
I can buy that.
I can buy that too. Listen to the top 12 right now, Nando.
Yeah.
This is going to blow your mind. Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, QB4, Kyler Murray. QB5, Joe Burrow. Even with that being the top 5, okay, cool. I can get it. Now here's where things get weird. QB6, Geno Smith. QB7, Carson Wentz. QB8, Jared Goff. Geno Smith, Carson Wentz, Jared Goff on QB 6, 7, and 8. That's crazy. Those are undrafted dudes. Wentz throwing for a lot of yards. The Commanders can move the football, Nando.
Yeah.
The problem is they shoot themselves in the foot with penalties.
Right.
And that turnover is coming at some point. That Wentz interception, that Wentz fumble, you're going to get it at some point. Yesterday, they got it at the worst possible time. They're driving down, try to win the game. Bam, there goes the turnover. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
But outside of that, his yardage he might have threw for 375 yesterday.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
QB9, Herbert. QB10, Mahomes and Herbert, 2 of the first quarterbacks going off the board this year in drafts are QB9 and 10. QB11, Kirk Cousins. QB12, Tom Brady. 13 is Daniel Jones.
He's running.
Yeah, Daniel Jones is athletic. He is athletic. That was one thing that Jones does have with his game.
He's running through injury.
Yeah. Well, he's trying to hold on to his job.
Give him credit, man. Good for him.
This offense has not been great, it's been bottom line. You know what I'm saying? Offense has not been great this season. QB 32, Mac Jones. He's a starter. Winston has missed time. Dak Prescott has missed time. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that could be no Trey Lance, right? Justin Fields is a starter. We didn't expect much from him. Baker Mayfield. Oh my God, he stinks. That's a starter. Matthew Stafford, a starter who stinks. Matt Ryan, a starter who stinks. Ryan Tannehill, a starter who stinks. Aaron Rodgers is QB 18. The reason why offense stinks is because quarterback play has declined.
However you're invested in sports, from betting to fantasy, collectibles, and more, join our community on Bettor Sports Network.
All right, it's Rick Kamla back on Bettor Sports Live, and got some fantasy drafts going on in fantasy basketball. We've got a puke bucket of a football game going on here with Thursday Night Football. I feel like I've been saying that a lot lately. Not with Monday Night Football. That was a really good game, Kansas City at Vegas. But last Thursday night, that Denver and Indianapolis game, completely unwatchable, absolute garbage. Flush it down the toilet. And this game is this game is making Denver and Indy actually look like a palatable game. I mean, we have bagel right, and we don't even have field goals on the board right now. I was on and am on Chicago to win this game at a +1 or 1.5, depending on your book. I was on David Montgomery, the over on his receiving yard total at 15.5. So far, he has not been targeted. It's tough to improve your stats when the players aren't complying. David Montgomery is on the under on 62.5 rushing yards. He's at 8 for 26 right now on the back half of the second quarter. So kind of sort of on pace for that. The over on Brian Robinson at 51.5 does not look good against the 31st run defense in the NFL. Robinson has 6 carries, 16 yards so far. The under on Fields and his rushing total, kind of right there. It's at 42.5. I took the under on it, and he's at 17 rushing yards right now. Mooney over 45.5 yards. That one is starting to look promising. 3 for 35 right now for Darnell Mooney. And Curtis Samuel, I had the over on him. He has not been targeted yet. So yikes. Not off to a good start here. Not off to a good start. But the Denver Broncos suck. And I had to dump them as my prediction to win the Super Bowl and move on to another team. I found it funny when I pressed Johnny VTV at the end of the interview. Remember, he was busting my balls about, flipping midseason and that kind of thing. And late in the interview, he said, if something goes haywire with the Chargers, that he would have to then bail on them and pick another team. Kind of funny how that goes, right? I mean, it's what you do. I can't go the rest of the year without having a team that I think is going to win it all. And I say all year, well, I got the Broncos prediction wrong. And so there it is. And so I don't know who's going to win the Super Bowl this year. Who do you think is going to win the Super Bowl this year? They would yank me off the air here. Okay. And I don't want that. And we don't rock like that here. You got to make a call. Who's going to win the Super Bowl? I got the Kansas City Chiefs. I do not have the Buffalo Bills. A couple other reasons why I don't have the Buffalo Bills. We touched on this a little bit, the backfield. The backfield's going to hold them back. Singletary, Moss, Cook, going to hold them back. It's not good enough. To me, it's like the Tampa Bay Rays in baseball. You can mix and match and do all your cute little dink and dunk analytics stuff and all these pitchers, and you've got openers and all this little Tampa Bay Rays stuff, and you've got this low dough hitting lineup, but okay, Kevin Cash gets them running, bunting a little bit, all the little small ball stuff. Like, you can make that work in the regular season. You can, and they do have badass pitchers. There's no doubt about that. You can make that work in the regular season. When you get to the postseason, that's when the big boys come to play. That's when you need Sharper, Harper, Judge, Alvarez. That's when you need the big boys, the bop guys, okay? Because all this small ball, dinking and dunking, Vince Coleman, Willie McGee, Tom Herr, back in the Cardinals days with Whitey Herzog and winning all these games 2-1 and 3-2 with great pitching and defense and base running. You can't do that anymore. Come on. So the Rays, when's the last thing they ever won in Major League Baseball, right? Couple World Series, couple of losses. Why'd they lose those World Series? They did not have enough star power to win those World Series against the stud, loaded, packed, and jack Phillies and the Dodgers. Now to the Bills. You have the Tampa Bay Ray backfield here. It's what you have. You have 3 dudes. They're all moderately good and talented, and you rotate them, and it's a mishmash, and you never gain traction. Couple games here and there, but no, in the playoffs, you're going to need a guy. And I'm not saying every team's got to have a first-round pick bell cow back. That's not what I'm saying. Not every team has to have a $10 million per year running back. But dang it, you got to have a guy that you can give 15 to 20 carries to in the snow, in the cold, a guy that's weatherproof, a guy that is going to be productive. And you can count on what he's going to bring. That's the thing with the Bills running backs. You can't count on them ever. Oh, Singleton spiked up and had a big game this week. He had 83 total yards. He had a touchdown. Cool. That's going to happen. He's a starting running back who's moderately talented on a great offense. He's going to have some good games. Can you tell me right now confidently what those games are going to be from Devin Singletary the rest of the year? And if you even try to tell me what they are and who they are and where they are, you're lying to yourself and me. You don't know. Sean McDermott doesn't know. The fantasy gods up above don't know. What I do know is that in the playoffs, when the offense gets out of balance and they got to throw all the damn time, and the defense knows that, and now they're pinning back their ears and bringing extra people and blitzing Josh Allen because they know that there's no running threat at all. That's a problem for Buffalo, and it's going to keep them from winning it all this year. Another reason why I got Kansas City and not Buffalo. Tre'Davious White is on the comeback trail. They designated him to return from IR, but you still have safety injury problems. This one's not a huge angle, but the secondary to me is the strength of the Bills' defense. The cornerbacks they have, the Hyde and Poyer combo. Hyde is out probably for the year. So they've taken hits in terms of one of their major strengths. Now, they do have Damar Hamlin. And I guess he just popped into my brain. I do need to. Damar Hamlin is a stud. He is a hard-hitting, badass safety. And cocky and confident and struts. And he's just got the swag and the it factor. And I'm a fan. I've already picked him up in both of my Dynasty IDPs. And again, I don't know like where we're going here long term because they've got Poyer and Hyde. They got a set, right? But this Hamlin dude, I know talent when I see it. And this dude's got talent, man. He's a tackle machine. I love the safety position in IDP. If you get the right safeties, right? I don't want cover safeties like Condrey Diggs. I want box safeties, right? The guys that are going to 8, 9, 10 tackles a game and be 100+ tackles for the year. Tackles are how you win IDP leagues. It's like fantasy gold and fantasy basketball. You got to have threes, you got to have blocks, you got to have steals. If you don't get good in those categories, you will not win your league. I promise. If you're taking guys like Domantas Sabonis and Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan and guys like that are small in the fantasy gold categories, you're not going to win your league. You can have like one of those guys and then surround them with all the fantasy gold guys and still get it done. But the teams that are going to win it are going to be the guys that are really well balanced with all the fantasy gold, the blocks, the steals, and the threes. All right. Is Sean McDermott that guy? I don't know. Like, I've seen him boot games with bad decision making. Does he run a great program in Buffalo? Hell yes, he does. They have a great program in Buffalo. Absolutely, they do. But he's 3-4 in the playoffs. Will that translate? Will Sean McDermott break through, or will he be like Shanahan? Will he be like Dan Quinn? Will he be like these, hotshot assistants turn head coaches that can't quite get over the hump and get it done? So far, that's what it looks like to me. And finally, it just doesn't seem like members of the Bills Mafia can have nice things. So let's take a look at the comments here. I want a heads up. I should have sent my guys a text or something during the break. I forgot watching the game and that kind of thing. But fellas here, Anthony Rivera, we have Bennett Carroll behind the glass. I want to play a couple of these sound bites here involving Draymond Green. I'm going to start with the Wojnarowski cut, and then we'll go to the Jalen Rose cut here. And there's whoa. Time out. I forgot something. I'm sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit. I do want to get to that, and we will get to that. And there's a betting angle with this. But I told you I was going to look at the Super Bowl odds here a little bit. So let me go ahead and do that here before I forget. Your boy's a little absent-minded, but I got it dialed in here with the props and the futures and everything. So the Buffalo Bills right now on Vegas Insider with their consensus of all of the books. The Buffalo Bills are a plus 354 to win the Super Bowl this year. Number one odds. And they are the prohibitive favorite right now. There is a big-time separation between them and the next team, which is the Kansas City Chiefs. So the Bills are at a plus 354. The Chiefs are at a plus 620. Then the Eagles at a plus 680. The Buccaneers, I don't see Super Bowl at all when I watch the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Like, not at all. They're a plus 1010. San Fran is a plus 1360. That's right, folks. The San Francisco 49ers right now have the 5th best odds to win the Super Bowl. The Niners. You know what that tells me? How gosh dang wide open this is. After the big boys. And really, I'm going to draw a line after Buffalo and Kansas City. That's your chalk. Philadelphia's undefeated. They look great. Do you guys think right now that the Eagles are going to win the Super Bowl? Do you really actually think that right now? I don't. Jalen Hurts doesn't win a playoff game yet. And so all of a sudden this year, they're going to go win 3 or 4 playoff games? I don't see it, man. I don't. No. I don't. So the Eagles at number 3 is crazy to me. The Buccaneers at number 4 is crazy to me. The Niners at number 5 is crazy to me. I get the Packers are next here, right, at a plus 1420, Rodgers, the whole thing. Then Lamar Jackson and Baltimore are next at a plus 1480. I'll tell you right now, who, if you want to get really freaky here with an NFL future, I've got a 2-pack for you. Not a 2-pack, but a 2-pack. Play the Kansas City Chiefs and the Dallas Cowboys to win the Super Bowl. Here's my thinking behind this. The Chiefs are chalky. We know this. And they're getting great odds for a chalky team. Plus 354 for Buffalo, plus 620 for Kansas City. Giddy up. I may have to get in on that. Put a honeybee down, win 620 if the Chiefs win the Super Bowl. I mean, a 6-1 return on the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl. These odds are going to shrink, people. If you are buying what I'm selling, if you already had an opinion about the Chiefs to win it all, get in now. These odds, especially, guys, the Chiefs play the Bills this week. What if the Chiefs beat the Bills? I think the Chiefs will beat the Bills. How will these odds change? I'm going to write it down right now because I want to keep track of that. The Bills are at a plus 354. The Chiefs are at a plus 620. Okay. What if the Chiefs beat the Bills? That line's going to change. And what if the Chiefs beat the Bills at home by 10 points and look really good in doing it, right? Pat Mahomes without Tyreek Hill has 330 yards and 3 touchdowns as they ravage the number 1 defense in the NFL, blah, blah, blah. You can see the headlines, right? Is it really that crazy to think that happens? So if it does, we may see a complete flip here, and Buffalo drops below Kansas City. The Chiefs usurp their spot as atop the Vegas board to win the Super Bowl this year. Get in now if you are on the Chiefs. And I'm going to send a little note to myself. I may have to get with my guy Holden out there in Colorado. Yeah, my homie Holden. We lost money last week on Jamar Chase. That's okay. I got a little Venmo thing here. Hope the IRS isn't listening, but I want a little skin in the game here on the Kansas City Chiefs. So a little reminder to myself. I send emails to myself, just one word, email, and it's because otherwise it kind of drifts away from your boy. But Dallas is think about this. Cooper Rush is powering Dallas to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They're 8th on the Vegas board to win it all with Cooper Rush. Right, they're going to have Dak back. I mean, I'm being sort of sarcastic and cute saying that, but Cooper Rush is game managing through here to a point where Dallas has the 8th best odds to win the Super Bowl. If you told me at the point where Dak Prescott went out and before we've had this Cooper Rush experience in this big sample size here, and you told me that after 4 weeks of Cooper Rush, that Dallas would be 8th on the Vegas board to win it all, I would have thought you were absolutely crazy. Like higher than Keith Richards, higher than Greg Allman, like just off your rocker, leave the dispensary now, you've smoked too much, okay? They're 8th, and they're a plus 1920. Why do I think this is a good bet? I'll tell you right now, because I have seen many times a dominant defensive line win the Super Bowl, okay? You think of the Tampa Bay teams. You think of the the Baltimore teams. You think of the Giants and the 2 Super Bowls they won against the New England Patriots. You think of the Super Bowl that Philadelphia won against New England just a few years back. How did they buzzkill Brady, and how did Doug Peterson and Nick frickin' Foles beat the GOATs? Okay, defensive line, pressure on Tom Brady, and basically they remember the end of the game. It was a strip sack. That's how the game ended. Tom Brady was driving. I think they were down 7 or 8, something like that, driving to, tie or win the game or whatever. And they got a strip sack recovered by Philadelphia, game over. Defensive line pressure. It is a tried and true way to win the Super Bowl. Okay. It is. Dallas's defensive line is Super Bowl quality. Is the rest of their roster Super Bowl quality? No, it's not. But they have that defensive line, that anchor. You've got good linebackers. When healthy, your secondary is absolutely amazing. You've got a championship-ready defense. Dak Prescott is going to be back maybe this week, and he is going to take the offense from here to there. Obviously, he's not a game manager. He's a stud. So Dallas is a dark horse to win the Super Bowl right now. I like it a lot. $100 is going to bring you back $1,920. That's what I'm talking about. So I would do a combo platter of the Chiefs, and I would go with Dallas as well. And I'm definitely going to put money on Kansas City here. I may put a little bit lower dollar amount on Dallas and get a little bit of love on that. It's kind of weird, like historically, I'm not a Dallas Cowboys guy, but it's not about that. It's about analyzing this year and figuring out what's going to happen. You may be wondering, why I'm not talking more about this game. There's nothing going on, folks. There is nothing going on. If you are, I don't know, out on a walk with the dog, if you're on a treadmill, you're at the gym right now, listening in your ears and all that kind of stuff. And they have a Housewives show on, or they have, I don't know what the hell they got the freaking, what's that show? The Masked Singer or some ish like that on, right? And you're like, where's the game? You're missing absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. Mooney's at 4 catches, 40 yards. McLaurin's now up to 2 and 31. Montgomery's at 8 for 26. Herbert had a 64-yard run. He's at 65 yards on 4 carries. Robinson, 7 carries and 19 yards. Gibson has not touched the ball yet out of the backfield. In terms of running, he has been targeted one time. And the quarterbacks are doing nothing. Justin Fields has a red zone interception already. This is an absolute. I literally did not think that a game could be worse than the 49ers Broncos game or the Indianapolis Denver game of last week. So far, this game, probably the worst game in the NFL all season long. It's close. That's the best I got for you. It's close. It's 0-0. It's a tie game. There should be some drama in the second half here because of it. But this game right now is an absolute puke bucket. Let's check some of the comments here from our peeps out there. Dave Poland. Brian Robinson's toting the rock. I think he will go over the total eventually. And to your point, Dave, I do like the fact that Gibson has not gotten a carry in this game. It is all Brian Robinson all the time. Now, against the 31st run defense, presumably some success is going to be going on here, but it hasn't just yet. BK says NFL teams protesting Jeff Bezos by stinking it up on Amazon. I do like that. What I think is happening here is Al Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit are poisoning the teams, the players, the coaches. I think the worst call in the NFL right now. Think about, and I don't want to mention names because I think all the CBS crews and all the Fox crews are really, really good. Even like the E team and the F team and all this kind of stuff. They're all really, really good. They are. And those are like, the regional coverage people, right? We're not talking, by the way, I'm not seeing Kenny Albert on NFL games this year. What the hell is going on with that? Kenny Albert for the win. I freaking love some Kenny Albert, man. Maybe he's been on games that I haven't had sound on or something. Maybe he is still doing games, but I haven't even seen him pop up in the stand-ups that they do, before the game and at halftime and that kind of thing. Kenny Albert's I don't know him personally, but I'm a big fan of his work. I love the best combos, Ian Eagle and Charles Davis. There's no better NFL team than that. Is it just me, or have Joe Buck and Troy Aikman, is it just a little different on ESPN? Just a little different. Troy Aikman doesn't sound as comfortable. He doesn't. I know he had the gaffe in a recent game, but I do love me some Buck and some Aikman. But dang it, Ian Eagle and Charles Davis, I'm buddies with both of those guys, and they do a phenomenal job. They really, really do. Let's get a couple other comments here. Jalen is saying the Baylor and West Virginia game has been a really good game. Matter of fact, since you brought it up, where is my remote control? Let's toggle here a little bit. I'm actually tired of this game. I'm growing tired of this game. I mean, I'm not going to leave it behind here. I'm on the air till 10 o'clock. We'll be talking about it, but it's a puke bucket. It really is. And there's no puke in the bucket. It's not even a puke bucket with puke in the bucket. There's no puke in the bucket. There's no scoring at all. So Jalen, I just popped on Baylor and West Virginia here. Better Boss says I have Komet, Mooney, and McLaurin. First TD still alive. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Matt Deutsch. Dave Poland says sausage and peppers. Going back to our conversation with Johnny B TV. And as I turn on the Baylor and West Virginia game, Blake Shapen is leaving the football field right now. Dang it. I think I started Blake Shapen in one of my college football fantasy leagues. What is going on here? Oh my God. I believe I did. Let me go to this 2-quarterback league here and check real quick. Blake Shapen, he's in my effing lineup right now. Let's see what he's doing here, folks. Let's see what Blake Shapen's doing on the board. He's got 21 points. All right. I'm going to calm down here. We're midway through the third quarter. This is why I went with Blake Shapen. He's at West Virginia. This is a juicy-ass matchup. He's already got 21 points on the board, 326, 2 touchdowns. So, all right, if he can't return to the game, and I certainly wish the young fellow well, but if he can't return to the game, he already gave me some goodies. And so I'll take it right there. Jalen saying, now we're talking, Cam. Baylor, West Virginia. And on 4th and goal here, we have a touchdown. Is it Monterey? No, it's not Monterey Baldwin because I got him in this league. It is Hal Presley. I don't want Hal Presley scoring touchdowns for Baylor. I want Monterey Baldwin. What a name, right? Monterey Baldwin. Does that not sound like a stud wide receiver? He is a stud receiver for Baylor. He's got 1 freaking catch and 17 yards right now. That will not do. But Monterey Baldwin is a dope name. It really is. So I tell you what, let's take our last break of the night here. I want to chug some tea and get my voice ready for these last 30 minutes here. And I will go into Draymond Green, the controversy that is. You'll hear some very important sound from Adrian Wojnarowski and Jalen Rose. The Woj sound goes into why the Warriors made the decision not to suspend Draymond Green. The Jalen Rose sound goes into his thoughts as a predictor of the Warriors to win it all and what he is doing with that prediction. Now, I am also a predictor of the Golden State Warriors to win it all. I will tell you if I'm backing out of my prediction on them to win it all because of the Draymond Green controversy, and we'll do it next right here on Bettor Sports Live.
Bettor Sports Live with Rick Kamla.
He went to Denver to swindle a desperate franchise out of $250 million. That's what Russell Wilson did. He went to Denver in the great state of Colorado and bamboozled them all, including me. And now he is just bilking $250 million from these people. These poor people, they don't deserve this. Totally on board with the decision to bring on Russell Wilson. Totally on board. I don't regret it to this day. Absolutely the right move. Bold, aggressive move, make a big trade, pay him all the money, bring him in. Now you're in the Super Bowl fast lane. Let's go giddy up Peyton Manning style. Russ is the one who has not held up his end of the bargain. This is on him, and I am looking at him completely differently right now.
The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis. Weekdays at 5 Eastern.
I wasn't going to mention it. I wasn't going to bring anything up.
Granted, slowly to third. Manny charges his. Now plays the hop. Throw to first is in time. And the Padres have not only captured the moment, they have captured the wild card series.
Really sucks when it comes to our New York Mets. They lost. Joe Musgrove's ears were pretty shiny, but whatever. They found nothing growing, and just like that, 101 wins out the window.
Yeah, I mean, disappointing performance to end the season. They played their worst baseball over the last month. They didn't do much at the trade deadline, which came back to hurt them all year. I said it was imperative that they win the division because of what happened. You put yourself in a 3-game series now where, you run into a team with good starting pitching like the Padres with Yu Darvish and Musgrove dominating, and this is what happened. So definitely a disappointing season, at least the end to the season, and they didn't come through when they needed to. They needed 1 win in Atlanta in the 3-game series. They didn't get it, and they showed up Saturday and did not show up at all last night. Just 1 hit, just really bad, man. So I want my refund for the divisional round because I did get tickets. And then they tell you, oh, you're not going to get your refund until 3 to 4 weeks after the conclusion of the postseason. Really? 2 months? Come on, give me my money now. You're not playing it. Give me my money back.
Maybe they have net 60 or something.
No, man, just give me my money. You're not playing. I want my money back.
Yeah, don't worry.
Shouldn't have to wait.
You'll win it back with your fantasy basketball league anyway, Ronis. We know how it goes, okay? We know how it goes.
Bettor Sports Network is betting, fantasy, collectibles. It's sports talk done better.
It is Rick Kamla here on Bettor Sports Live on the Bettor Sports Network. And we have a field goal. The Washington Commanders field goal kicker, who the hell's kicking field goals for them right now? It's too bad of an offense for me to even sweat it. Joey Sly. Joey Sly has banged one from 38 yards out, and we have a field goal on the board. It is 3-0 Washington right now. There are 46 seconds left as they eventually kick off to Justin Fields and the Chicago Bears. I am not anticipating a long drive. And let me see right here. Jalen is saying that right now we all need to drop whatever we're doing and go to Twitter and look up Ja Morant for the move that he did. So let's do it. Like I said, we're a community here. We're all hanging out. So let's go to Ja Morant, who is a very important player for me. Okay, my guy Rob Perez here is saying, good God, Ja Morant. He goes behind the glass for a big jam. I mean, so wait a minute here. Like, I thought he was, like, really going to do something spectacular. Like, let me see this. I mean, okay, that's good. It's Ja Morant dunking the ball. Okay, all right. Like, what we got here? Is this that same play? Cookies. He's got the steal. He goes around the back and then jams with two hands. I mean, like, am I normalizing greatness right now? Is that what I'm doing with Ja Morant right now? There are two spectacular highlights from the Pistons game tonight. And because of what I've seen from Ja Morant, remember he jumped over the dude last year for the dunk. Remember he caught the ball in the baseline, the end-to-end pass by Steven Adams, and he caught it and literally in midair turned and made a baseline fadeaway jump shot with the clock running out. And like, I mean, he is a spectacular player. And these are spectacular plays. But in Jalen, look, I'm just saying, like, I love the interaction here. Join the show, hit the fun button, keep giving me this. And trust me, anytime there's like a sexy play going on in the NBA, I want to know about it, right? And, because I had that game on. I kind of been toggling between the football game and the NBA TV. They have the Pistons and the Grizzlies. So keep hitting me up with that. But, like, I don't know. To me, that's Ja Morant being Ja Morant. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, those are very, very splashy highlights. I don't know. Like, I'm in a good mood. It's not like I'm in a salty mood or anything. Like, this game isn't pissing me off. It's boring and all of that. But, I mean, it was dope. It was sick, right? But as far as, like, Ja Morant viral highlights go, I would not put it at the top. I would not. But, Jalen, I love that you're watching the NBA, and I love that you're in here hanging out with us. Dave Poland said, I'm worried about Ja getting hurt one day. I don't like the way he lands sometimes. I don't either, but he's a young fella, and he's young and spry. Now, he is injury prone. I will say that. I've got him in one dynasty league over here. I've got him in my 30-team dynasty league team. And so I've got some very, very important shares of Ja Morant. I am locked and loaded with Ja for the present and the rest of his career. But right now, he's young, he's brash, he's 22, 23, he jumps through the air with the greatest of ease. He's an absolute superhero. And, I don't think anybody's going to be very successful telling him to change the way he plays. But, Dave, I understand what you're saying. And he does suffer a lot of awkward falls. When you get up in the air, there's a thing called gravity, and eventually you've got to come back down to earth. And the manner with which you come back to earth can either be a good thing or a bad thing. You remember early in Dwayne Wade's career, he was doing a lot of this type of stuff, landing on the floor a lot. They made a commercial about it, and Dwayne Wade made it a long time in the NBA. So let's get to Draymond Green here and unpack what's going on. We've got the sound to play for you, okay? I thoroughly disagree with the Warriors' decision to not suspend Draymond Green. Biggest story going in the NBA right now. One of the biggest stories in sports. Probably, you guys hit me up. Is this the biggest controversy going on in sports right now? I believe it is. Is there a controversy in the NFL right now currently that's bigger than this, or baseball? I don't think so. Maybe you've got a hockey head out there. Oh, we got a slashing epidemic going on in the National Hockey League early on in the season. We got a controversy on our hands. Gary Bettman is sounding alarms about it. By the way, I'm in 5 fantasy hockey leagues. That's right. I play fantasy hockey as well. You can ask me about fantasy hockey if you would like. I may not know every single player on every single team, but your boy is getting it done in fantasy. I'm diamond rated after 2 years in Yahoo Fantasy Leagues. That's the highest rating you can get for hockey. So I know a little something. But anyway, I like to be versatile, and I like the challenge of a new sport and learning the new math of the sport. And I think I've solved I've cracked the code. But on Draymond, I totally disagree with the Warriors' decision to not suspend him. They're giving Draymond Green a slap on the wrist for the biggest mistake that he has made in the NBA and the biggest controversy that Lacob, Kerr, and Myers collectively have dealt with out there. They are enabling his behavior, past, present, and hopefully not in the future, but you never know. The Golden State Warriors are failing to attach serious consequences to a serious infraction by Draymond Green. Serious infraction, okay? Serious infraction. Lit a dude up. Stephen A. Smith said that he dropped him and he knocked him out, okay? And that's your teammate, and it's a complete violation of trust because nobody in that gym thought Draymond Green was actually going to punch him, pushing and shoving, woofing. All that is fine. Even maybe a little wrestling down on the ground is fine. Lighting a dude up, fist to jaw, is not cool and dangerous. Totally disagree with the Warriors' decision not to suspend Draymond Green. Steve Kerr said a couple of days ago that they're going to fine him and that Draymond's already back with the team. He was at a press conference earlier today. He's going to play in tomorrow night's preseason game, and he is going to play on ring night, which is Tuesday night when the Lakers are at Chase Center taking on the Dubs. So I want to bring in this Adrian Wojnarowski sound right now. And I'm going to read the comments too, because last night with Lisa Ann, you all had a lot to say about Draymond Green, okay? And I was like, all right, I want to tap back into that because it's such a hot story and so many developing angles of it that I want to bring it back, and I'll read a lot of your comments here on it. But this is Adrian Wojnarowski explaining why the Golden State Warriors did not suspend Draymond Green. Take a listen to this.
Kevin, that the Warriors put significant weight on the fact that opening night is also ring night and the hanging of the Warriors' 2022 championship banner. And they simply weren't going to measure that as a 1 out of 82 game suspension. That if this incident had landed, in the middle of the regular season, there'd probably be a suspension. If the Warriors weren't defending champions and we're just playing an ordinary opening night, there might very well be a suspension. But simply, Golden State did not want to punish Draymond Green in a way that he would miss opening night where he'd get his fourth ring with the Warriors and see his fourth banner during his tenure with Klay Thompson, Steph Curry brought to the rafters. Kevin.
So great sound right there from Adrian Wojnarowski. Credit to ESPN on that. So let me get this straight. They're contextualizing the punishment for Draymond Green for a violation that in a lot of areas would have Draymond Green brought up on charges. In a lot of areas, you automatically would be fired if you did that to a fellow employee, right? I understand, you understand, this is sports. It's different. You can't apply, the rules and the morals and ethics and the values of corporate America to an NBA practice facility, an NBA gym, an NBA locker room. You can't. I know some of you out there will. And, at my job, if I punch a guy, I get fired. Yes, you're right. You do. You are making $25 million a year to play basketball, okay? You're not. I'm not. We're just normal people. We're not superheroes. These guys are superheroes. They get treated differently. They're famous. They're filthy rich. It's different, man. You can't one-to-one analogize us in regular life and these guys. But, it gets worse with this. It's already bad that you are enabling Draymond Green. I can't tell you how many ball players I've talked to over the last 2 weeks since this came out that say they have never, ever seen in their lives on the teams that they played for in all of these years and years and years do anything like this. We just saw a meteor with this, and we got video of it. There's no video of Michael Jordan punching Steve Kerr. There's no video of Michael Jordan punching Will Perdue. Although I got that story from Will Perdue the other day on NBA radio, and it was riveting. There's no video of Vernon Maxwell and Gary Payton throwing weights at each other in that Seattle weight room back in the day. No video. Okay? We have video of this. And this is one of the worst, teammate on teammate fights we've ever seen. Okay. Well, it is the worst we've ever seen because we haven't seen the other ones. But my point is, this is a rare event. This is not, you can't just shrug this one up. Oh man, he punched his teammate. All right, we all move on. No, If you just see the words Draymond Green punched Jordan Poole at practice, okay, maybe it was a glancing blow. Maybe he didn't knock him out. Maybe Jordan Poole didn't fall. Maybe it wasn't a direct hit, right? And so you don't know, and you play that vague game in your brain. We know. We saw it. Draymond Green viciously attacked him, and Jordan Poole didn't see it coming at all. It wasn't a sucker punch, okay? It wasn't from behind, but it was my colleague on NBA radio says, he stole on him, which means he punched him when he didn't think a punch was coming. All right, so it's not a sucker punch, but it's somewhere in between. For the Warriors to say they shouldn't have, I mean, golly, they should not have let the video leak out. First of all, somebody's going to get fired about that. And Adrian Wojnarowski should not have this intel, but he does. He's a great reporter. But this also should not be leaking out. We should be wondering right now why the Warriors did not suspend Draymond Green. We should not know that they didn't suspend Draymond Green because it's ring night and they want him to be there for ring night. We shouldn't know that because it makes it look even worse. Like, okay, you're picking and choosing how to parse out your punishment. That's not what you do. When somebody screws up mightily like this, you bang on him or her. You don't contextualize. You don't suspend somebody 5 games from now after you get through this tough stretch of your schedule. You suspend them for the next games. Nobody does this. Nobody contextualizes a suspension. You either suspend a guy for violating team rules significantly or you don't. And you don't say, well, it's ring night, and so we want him there on ring night. And it'd really be quite the buzzkill if he wasn't there on ring night. He worked so hard for this and blah, blah, blah. No. This is so wrong. And this is an organization that usually always gets it right. This is so wrong. Think about this, folks. What is going to happen to Draymond Green's behavior because of the way the Warriors are punishing him? What is going to happen? Ask yourself that question right now. Is Draymond Green going to stop bullying people and being the bully and generally running amok at the team facility? Is he going to change any of that? No. Why would he? They're basically patting him on the back and saying, attaboy, or sick him. That's what they're saying right now. The only way to change somebody's behavior is to get their attention and make a real impact through a significant penalty. Okay, somebody robs a bank and they get caught. What happens to them? They go to jail. 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. I don't know. A long time. And what do? They sit and they think about what a stupid-ass decision they made. And when I get out of here, I'm not going to do the same thing. Or maybe they're just dumbasses and they're going to come out of jail and get right back to stealing shit. And they're going to be right back in jail. I don't freaking know. But I know that when you do something nasty, there are consequences for it. Draymond Green did something nasty. And so the maximum fine that a team can levy against a player is $50,000. It's not $1 million or $2 million or $10 million. It's $50,000. A ton of money to me, a ton of money to you, and vodka money to Draymond Green. He ain't feeling $50,000. He's laughing about $50,000. Man, all they find me was $50,000. You kidding me, man? I got away with murder with that. Damn right you did. The only way to change somebody's behavior, your 5-year-old child, your 13-year-old child, Draymond Green, whoever it is to create consequences for their actions and get that person to feel the pain of that, the disappointment of that. And through that, you will do some self-evaluation and you will come out better on the other side. The way the Warriors attack this, they are not creating that game of tennis in Draymond Green's brain at all. They're not. Why would Draymond Green play this game of tennis? Man, should I really kind of think about how I'm operating here and maybe try to change how I treat people and how I conduct myself moving forward? Why would he reevaluate himself and give himself an honest conversation and think about this? Why would he do this? over $50,000 over the public embarrassment. Draymond Green is so emboldened by pride and ego and petty and fame and the bright lights. He doesn't give a damn about that stuff. He knowing him, and he's a smart guy, he is. He likes all the pub he's getting. Man, they can't keep my name out of their mouth. I'm constantly in the news cycle. They can't stop talking about me. I bet Draymond is looking at that as a sort of silver lining positive of this thing right here. Ay. So I don't believe that he's going to change his behavior. I don't. I think he's still going to melt down on refs. I think he's still going to do cheap shots in games. I think he's still going to get kicked out of NBA games. And we may see another incident with a teammate, and it may be strike 3. We got the thing with Kevin Durant. We got this thing here with Jordan Poole. What's next? Who's next? Steph? Clay? Yo, Clay, why didn't you work harder in the offseason, man? Why aren't you ready to go? We're all ready to go. Why aren't you ready to go? Oh, the Achilles and the knee. Oh, I get it. Yeah, those injuries happened like 3 years ago, buddy. Why are we doing this slow roll up to the start of the season? Is Draymond Green incapable of doing that? No, he's very, very capable of doing that. Bobby Portis got suspended. The Chicago Bulls at the time. Bobby Portis got suspended 8 games by the Bulls for punching Nikola Mirotic and breaking his face. He suffered multiple fractures in his face. Bobby Portis lit him up. 8 games. Again, 8 games. Draymond Green got none for doing the same thing, albeit with a different result to the victim. Mirotic had to miss 4 to 6 weeks as he recovered from that, and Jordan Poole's fine. He had a great game last Sunday night in his first game back. It's good to go. Same mistake, same infraction, different result for the victim. But how does Golden State not suspend Draymond and then Bobby Portis gets 8 games? Does that make any sense to anybody? Help me out, man. Hit join the show. Jalen says the Warriors should trade Draymond Green. Jalen, let me ask you a question. Who are they going to trade him to, Jalen? What team is thirsty to get into the Draymond Green experience right now with the triple single, the 7-7-7, and declining defensive skills, and all kinds of baggage? He says the Pistons or the Lakers. Okay, those are the chalky teams that are mentioned. They are. And so what is Detroit giving back? Let's play this game, Jalen. Let's play this game. What is Detroit giving back to LA to make the money work? Pardon me, Golden State, to make the money work. Because Detroit is, they're not like well under the cap where they can absorb a contract like Draymond's in their available cap space. They're right up against the cap right now. Golden State, obviously, are paying all the luxury tax payments, right? They always got to make the money work, going out and coming in. So if you're Detroit, I guess you could ship Bojan Bogdanovic out to Golden State for Draymond Green. They actually play the same position. Has Draymond Green become such a problem that you're going to bring in another shooter who plays no defense and lose the hub of your defense and really the heart and soul of your operation? You're not trading Draymond Green for Bojan Bogdanovic, especially it would be a rental player scenario for Bojan Bogdanovic. He's entering the final year of his deal. And the Warriors have to pay Andrew Wiggins and Jordan Poole, and Draymond Green wants new money on his deal, right? They're not doing that. So, okay, Cam, to make the Draymond money work, how about Marvin Bagley and Nerlens Noel and or Alec Burks? They all make right around, $10, $11, $12 million a year. Golden State is not doing that. They're not, if they're hanging in there with Draymond Green through the worst episode, maybe in franchise history, without a suspension on him, then obviously they still like Draymond and they still want him around. And they're not trying to immediately kick him to the curb. They're not trading Draymond Green for Bagley, Burks, and or Nerlens Noel, and or Corey Joseph. They're not doing it. And Detroit's not going to trade them Jaden Ivey or Cade Cunningham or Sadiq Bey or Isaiah Stewart or Jalen Duren. That ain't happening, man. And then you mentioned the Lakers. The Lakers are in a situation, again, where who do they give to Golden State that makes Golden State wants to do this trade? Davis isn't going anywhere. James isn't going anywhere. Think Golden State wants Russell Westbrook? Come on, flush that idea right now in this moment. Okay, Pat Bev would be a good get for Golden State. He could be the new Gary Payton II, the sick 'em dog on defense and all that kind of stuff. We got a ways to go to get to Draymond's money, folks. Okay, what if we go Pat Bev and Kendrick Nunn and Lonnie Walker? I believe the trade machine would accept that trade. We go Lonnie Walker, we go Kendrick Nunn, and we go Patrick Beverley. First of all, would the Lakers do that? They're sending out 3 rotational guards out in a trade to bring back Draymond Green, who plays the same position as Anthony Davis and LeBron James. We're stuck. We're stuck. Draymond Green has an opt-out in his contract or opt-in at the end of this year. It's going to be interesting to see what he does. I believe he's going to opt in, Kyrie Irving style, because I don't believe there's going to be a lot of money for him out there. I don't. I think a lot of teams saw that incident and they're like, I'm not doing business with Draymond Green. I'm out. Folding my cards right now. No, he's somebody else's problem. And I know this to be true because NBA executives and NFL executives, they have a lot in common. They're looking for reasons not to do business with you. They're looking for reasons not to pay you. They're not looking for the reasons to pay you. They're looking for reasons not to pay you. And if there are no reasons not to pay you, then they pay you. Kyrie Irving has given every team in the league a lot of reasons not to pay him. Draymond Green has given every team in the league a lot of reasons not to pay him. James Harden has given a lot of teams in the league a lot of reasons not to pay him. And obviously he's got this bromance with Daryl Morey, and so he's going to get money from there. I wouldn't do business with James Harden. I would not. He bailed on 2 teams in 13 months, bailed on Houston, bailed on Brooklyn within a 13-month span. I'm not making that up. And he doesn't keep himself in great shape. He's a complete choke artist in the playoffs. I literally would not do business with him. I'd rather have Cameron Payne of the Phoenix Suns. I would. I'd rather have Cameron Payne at $5 million than James Harden at $35 million. And I'll find another stud somehow, some way. If I got a tank year to get that stud, I will. I won't do business with James Harden. Nope. I will not. I'm going to check a couple more comments here, and we'll hear this Jalen Rose sound, and I will opine here on the championship odds in the NBA this year. Jalen is saying the only team that will sign Kyrie, in my opinion, is the Lakers in the offseason. I think that I agree primarily with what you're saying. I think Brooklyn, if Brooklyn does some amazing things this year, I think Brooklyn may get a new thirst for bringing back Kyrie Irving. Jalen says, I'm with you, James Harden ain't that dude. Dave Poland says, Draymond shot 38% from 3 during the 2015-16 season, 29.6% last season, declining big time. I can tell you this right now, Dave Poland, our dear friend and fan, the worst shot in basketball right now, it's not a Ben Simmons 3. It's a Draymond Green 3. Because the Ben Simmons 3 never happens. The Draymond Green 3, he probably shoots about 3 of them a game. Maybe it's 2.5. It's not a big number. Every single time, oh my God, duck, run for cover. Draymond Green's taking a 3. Like hide the women and children, okay? And like keep your beer, hold on to your beer with 2 hands if you're in a courtside seat, because that ball's ricocheting right at your face off a Draymond 3 and off the rim or the backboard, right? I'll do it again. I'm a weirdo, man. I am. I'm Rick Hamlin. We're Better Sports Live. Let's hear this Jalen Rose sound. Jalen Rose, awesome guy. Buddies with him, going way back to the Detroit days, and he obviously is with ESPN right now. We have something in common, okay? By the way, he was my favorite member of the Fab Five back in the day with those awesome Michigan Wolverines teams with Weber and Howard and Jimmy King and Ray Jackson. Jalen was my guy on those teams. But this is Jalen Rose, who had an opinion of Golden State Warriors to win it all. And he explains that because the Golden State Warriors are not suspending Draymond Green, which of course they should, he's out. Take a listen.
Worse than I thought. And at least Steve Kerr is the person that can navigate this as a championship level coach who's done it as a player. And unfortunately, he dealt with this with Michael Jordan, but he actually got punched in practice. Here's what makes that different. It wasn't a video. And I guarantee you, he and MJ's relationship was never the same. Draymond's and Poole's will never be the same. Draymond's and the team will never be the same. And before this incident, I actually thought the Warriors were going to win it all. They ain't winning it all this year now. Because what's going to happen is the karma of the game catches up to you in so many ways. And basketball is so much a game of camaraderie. This is 2 of their top 5 players. So how their interactions are going to be all season is going to affect the dynamics of a team. Helping on defense, missing me on an assignment, missing me on a pass, guess what we're going to be paying attention to? Did they high five? Basic things that we normally take for granted are now going to permeate. And lastly, when you don't suspend him because it's going to be ring night, now you really just double down in Jordan Poole's mind that he punched me and y'all didn't suspend him. And eventually they're going to have to choose the future Jordan Poole over the current and or the past.
What can I say? He's one of the best analysts in the business, and you heard why right there. I agree with every single word he just said, except a couple. I am not bailing on my pick of the Warriors to win it all, and I'll explain. This is a tough read for me. This is a tough read for me. I evaluate teams based on roster construction, stat analysis, eye test through watching games, reading about the team, and checking with my sources. I don't have a source with every team, but I have a source with most teams. It might be a radio play-by-play guy. It might be the beat writer. It might be the TV play-by-play guy. It might be an exec. But I have sources with most teams. And I don't bug them, right? Like I got a source down in Phoenix, the Monty Williams and DeAndre Ayton stuff. I checked with my source. I found out that it was a bigger problem than it was even being reported. Okay. Your boy does get sourced intel. But this one is a tough read for me. I'm not in the locker room. I'm not at the practice court. I'm not at guys. I'm hearing you through here. The locker room, the practice court, the planes, the buses. So my breakdown of the team ends there. And I've got a lot of elements that I break down the team with, but I'm not there. I don't have the pulse and the vibe of the interpersonal relationships on this team. I don't. Very few people do. Woj doesn't even have that. He can hear. Shams doesn't even have that. They can hear stuff, but they're not there witnessing it themselves. Okay. And with this situation, it's tough to speculate whether this will be a championship derailer or not because I'm not around the team. And I don't have experience as an NBA player to call on here and say, oh, well, I saw this a million times. I can mitigate it in my brain through that thought process right there. I don't. This is an unknown. It is. For Jalen Rose, played a long time in the NBA. He's out. He's saying that this is too much for them to overcome to win a championship. I've talked to a lot of other ball players that don't agree, and they think Golden State's going to be fine. They're going to weather the storm, and they're ultimately going to win the championship. I am not changing my opinion here. I'm not. The Golden State Warriors have an extremely strong culture. Born of championships, born of blood, sweat, and tears with each other, born of the wisdom and the brilliance with the people in that organization. And they got a lot of really good dudes and good women and people in that organization. They have strong enough leaders in Steph Curry, Klay Thompson. I'd say Draymond Green, but, I can't put him in that category anymore. They got enough championship DNA to work through this and hoist the gold ball in June of 2023. I am not changing my opinion because of this controversy. I'm hanging in there with Golden State to win it all. There's another angle here, right? I mean, my confidence is taking a hit for sure, but I don't, I'm not a flip-flopper. Like I bailed on Denver because Denver is an absolute dumpster fire. I can't hang on to this prediction that I don't believe anymore. I still believe the Warriors can win it all. Okay. Right now they're number 2 on Vegas Insider. Number 2 right now. Boston is number 1 odds to win it all at a plus 575. We talked with Joe Osborne of Vegas Insider earlier in the show. I completely disagree with Boston win it all. Completely disagree. Okay. They're a contender, but number 1 over Golden State, over the Bucks, over the Nets, over the Suns, over the Sixers, over every single team in the NBA. You got to be kidding me, man. The Warriors are a plus 625. That's the bet, people. The Milwaukee Bucks as well. That's my finals. I got Warriors over Bucks. The Milwaukee Bucks at a plus 680. Love that bet. Think about it. $100 gets you 680 back. $100 on Golden State. So you're 6-1, right? You're getting 6-1 here. Tremendous value. And go ahead and bang Golden State now while the turmoil is going on, because their odds are only going to flatten and regress to the mean here and get smaller. So Golden State a plus 625. I'm still on it. I'm obviously still on the Bucks at a plus 680. Big thanks to Joe Osborne of Vegas Insider, Byron Lambert of Roster Watch, John Venezia of NBC Sports Bet. Big thanks to my guys behind the glass, Bennett Carroll and Anthony Rivera. I'll see you tomorrow night at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. I'm Rick Kamla. We are Bettor Sports Live.